A busy weekend in the sports world. A lot of good football, both college and NFL. Now we have AP Top 25 for college basketball. KenPom rankings come out. Major League Baseball playoffs. A little bit of everything over the weekend. So we'll try to get to a lot of it. But Brian and Brett with you. Darian Newsom producing. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great, and you are so right. We got it all going. You know it's a good Monday. Also, happy Columbus Day.
Happy Columbus Day.
I don't know if this is the date. It may be, but it was on Columbus Day, 1985. Go crazy, folks.
Really?
Ozzie Smith hit the home run against the Dodgers. I don't know if it was this date, but I know it was Columbus Day, 1985. You know it's a good day, though, when you got afternoon baseball on network TV, the NLCS, and the Dodgers didn't even make it a contest last night, but it just counted one game. That's what Carlos Mendoza had to say to his men after that game. It just counted one, men. They got to do it 3 more times. But great weekend for me, Brian. The game I was at was just an absolute classic at Tiger Stadium. Man. I far and away preferred a different result, but I don't control that. Well, the college football fan, historian, if everybody wants to tell me that I am, I don't know if I am or not, but I know I love it. That side of me really took a special delight of being in that setting at Tiger Stadium. But while I was there, the reason I was there is because I am proudly worked for Ole Miss, and that part of me was and is deeply disappointed. LSU led the only time it matters. Yep. When the game's over.
That's right. But it feels like, especially recently, the last 2 years, every time these two teams meet, we get a classic, a thriller, and it was another one Saturday night.
Brian, it really has been, but it goes back mostly historically. Sure. A lopsided advantage for sure for LSU through the years, and program and resources and all those things go into that. And it's why it's so special to Ole Miss when Ole Miss gets a win like it did last year and was going for the very rare back-to-back. Hadn't occurred since 08, 09. Now got a win next year in Oxford. And that's where I get to is after the game Saturday night, the athletics director at LSU, Scott Woodward, was so very kind to me. We were leaving at about the same time, and he got his golf cart and his golf cart driver to drive me to lot 406, and I really appreciated because when you're going through that throng of LSU fans in red pants and Ole Miss gear on, you can really get called out. And I got a friend of mine who said, "Don't use the word disappointed. I won't." And I went to great strides post game Saturday night, not to with anybody I'll talk to, and I'm not gonna use it. Jerry Jones used it over the game yesterday, but Scott Woodward and I were talking, and in the drive, pretty not a long drive, pretty good drive. He said, we don't know where schedules are after next year. The SEC football schedule will come out in that period between the championship game and the start of the bowl season, like it did last year. That's when we'll get full reveal of dates. We know the opponents. And we know Ole Miss and LSU are set to play in Oxford next year. We know that's going to happen. But then after that, will we go to 9? Will anybody remain permanent? We think the rivals will remain, like Ole Miss and Mississippi State, Alabama and Auburn, Texas and Texas A&M. But not so sure on a lot of the rest. Not so sure on third Saturday in October, Tennessee and Alabama. Not so sure even on the cocktail party.
Oh, wow.
Probably, but not positive. So there's last Saturday was a very real chance that could have been the last time that I've ever been to Tiger Stadium. And if it is, it was quite something. It rocked 102,000. And for the third time in the last 6 times Ole Miss has been there, they stormed the field after the game. So it shows me that somebody cares. When 300,000 people go out on the field, 100,000 3 different times, it really matters. It was a season saver for LSU. I think the last thing I said on our pregame was the playoffs start tonight. And so we don't have a big bracket yet, but it did, and now LSU has certainly the inside position over Ole Miss for playoffs.
Absolutely, and we talked about that a lot, in the off season and before the season started about, even though the 12-team college playoff won't start until December, we're going to have a lot of conference games, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten. Those are going to be games that matter and are basically playoff games because of what they can mean for those teams going forward throughout the season.
This weekend was not the blockbuster, just bend your knees, remember where you were, and can you believe this is happening on TV upsets. But in a lot of ways, how the full panoply of football that began early and ended, I gave up. I got back to the room and got in bed at 1:30, and I think Hawaii was still on, and I was seeing triple at that point and don't really know. But the whole day, the competitiveness, the energy, electricity around the sport, it's just never been better. We have so many people, the prophets of doom around college football, but that's not new either, Brian. Here's the story in me. There have been people warning of the end of college football since the turn of the century. The turn of the 1800s into the 1900s, around the turn of the 19th century into the 20th century, when President Theodore Roosevelt, not even FDR, when Theodore Roosevelt had all the poobahs of college football come to an emergency meeting at the White House over the safety of the game. There were literally people dying on the field to play. The flying wedge was outlawed. So we've been hearing about the end of college football, the proliferation of TV. Too many games on TV, it's going to kill the live gate. Heard that late 60s, early 70s. There were even some Neanderthals out there saying integration would ruin college football. Do you think it ruined it? I think it made it completely better and a pretty good reflection of our country getting better. And then into the 80s with the wall-to-wall Saturday college TV with the Georgia case and the Oklahoma case, and so now paying players. A lot of those people that are saying that, I wish they would just say they want that. They want the end of college football, like that idiot that used to run the Big Ten, Kevin Warren. They wanted the end of college football, and they didn't get it, and they're not going to get it. And Saturday, it really, sea to shining sea, was an example of just what a great day and where this sport is, and it's in great shape.
No, you're right. It was a fantastic day of football on Saturday. I mean, from the start of the day to seeing, is Alabama going to lose another one against South Carolina, all the way to that 6 o'clock, 6:30 slate, and then even into the late night, that ending
Diego
for
Pavia mania.
Pavia's back, another win for Vanderbilt. I mean, Saturday was another unbelievable day of college football.
All right, I'm going to throw it at you and Darian. How hard one? You on at 3:08 on a Monday afternoon?
That'll work. I'm ready.
If you had a Heisman Trophy vote, you had to list 1 through 4, would you have Diego Pavia on a ballot?
Darian?
If not, yes, he may be 5th or 6th. If not, yes. But I know that wasn't a question, so I guess I would say no.
Okay.
I'm going to try to take my love for all things Vanderbilt out of the equation. It's hard. I will say no. He would not be on my ballot.
Fair enough. I would.
Really?
And I do.
Oh, yes. I love that.
But I don't vote today.
Oh, man. That's fantastic.
There's a lot of football left.
Sure.
But I think it might be the story of the year in college football so far.
No,
if it's not, Army and Navy could be.
Yes, Army and Navy.
I mean, both of them in the top 25 now. I mean, it's just, looking at the top 25 yesterday when it came out, and seeing SMU as a member of the ACC at number 21.
That once got the death penalty.
Correct. Number 21 as a part of the ACC. Army at number 23, and then Navy at number 25, and then Vanderbilt, the first team receiving votes right on the outside looking in. It's like,
what does this thing come to?
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
What's going on?
Yeah.
And to those prophets of doom, to so many that, again, I wish they would just say it in whatever market they're in, and they're in this market, and a lot of them have made a lot of money from college football. A lot of them have big time jobs from it. Been all over the country and got to go and see, and they still run it down. I wish they would just say, I don't like it. I wish I could click my heels together and it go away, talking about the cartel and how evil it is and how people have been used, which was utter balderdash all those years. Those people were saying that, to now be in this shape and to have these stories and to have this fun. Did you think you'd see Northwestern with an offensive explosion like they had Saturday?
Oh, what was that?
At Northwestern.
Crazy.
I mean, just look around at all the fun stories that are being put together. Texas' acclimation into the SEC, they're at the very top of it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know that many thought that would happen. OU struggling a little bit with it. Also was told this not by Scott, but by an SEC person. Mm-hmm. When the future schedules do come out, so what they set 24 and 25, and half the league got Texas. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't get Texas, you got OU. Nobody got both. Everybody got one of the two.
Right.
If you got Oklahoma in this round, say, for instance, Ole Miss, home this year in 24 against OU at Norman next year, for 26 and 27, you'll get Texas. If you got OU, you'll get Texas. You got Texas, you'll get OU. But there aren't many certainties beyond next year's schedule, and it's sure not certain about 9. And then that whole debate will happen of, the first year, somebody's got to go on the road 5 times if you get 9.
No, you're right about that, and that's a whole nother deal. You mentioned about the weekend. You brought up Northwestern. How about Friday night, Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham pulling the upset over Utah at home?
That hurt me so bad.
Oh man, that environment after the game, his on-field interview, all the students are chanting his name. He's partying with the students. Oh, that was so much fun.
And remember what he took over there in the job. Ooh man, the job Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce and company did on that program, and what Kenny Dillingham is now doing. That's his alma mater. Will he fend off all the big suitors, because they'll be coming after him at carousel time? And will he say, I'm at home, it's where I want to be, it's where I'm going to stay? We'll just have to see about that. But on the field, he's doing it. Mm-hmm. And now the Utah quarterback out again, and it looks like he's out for the rest of the year. And the unthinkable, take this, Alan Bowman, he can apply for another year next year.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I do.
Okay.
At some point, you've had your shot to play college football.
Hang it up.
Just like I said for DeAndre Williams. Mm-hmm. He got the pass a couple times. Should have.
Yeah.
Got to have the full college basketball experience. Mm-hmm. At some point, you've had it. Mm-hmm. It's time to move along.
I completely agree with that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
I think it's time. Good for you, but I think it's
and
time.
Maybe health related. You don't need to endure any more injury. You don't need any more hits.
With all the injuries,
because with all the injuries, all the surgeries, there's just so many times a body can be put under and operated on that at the back end you don't pay some price from.
It's a very good point. I didn't even consider that, but that's probably the best point out of them all, is just his body. I mean, it's already been beat. And I'm
going to say the same about the whole Willie or Won't he with Tua. It looks like he's getting ready to go again, and what in the world happens if he gets that big, shot, and you're watching the game, and you have to turn your head, and he's not cold, toes up, and he's toed it off, and then a lot of those same cartel prophets of doom from college football will be going after the NFL. Too violent. Is it worth it? Why do we do this? This is insane that a civilized society would let these kind of things go on. They'll be all out there saying all that when Tua's absolutely talked his way back onto the field, and the Dolphins and the NFL won't stand up and be the adults in the room, the administrators in the room, and say, no, your football is over.
Yes.
Brett, quick question, I guess, to you and Bryant. If you are Daniil Hunter or Patrick McQueen, for instance, and you have said shot on Tua, and you know the situation, as a human being and as a player, do you take that shot? Is that running through your head as a defensive player? Oh, my God, this could take him out.
Well, I think DeMar Hamlin was even reticent on that he felt horrible. Certainly him of all people.
Him of all people,
feeling horrible. Darren, I would have no idea on really how to answer that because I've never done it, but I would think heat of the moment player always trumps
You got a job. You got a job to do.
You got a job. I mean, what do you olay him and
Sure.
he picks up a first down, it costs you a win?
Yeah.
Or it could cost you a torn ACL or something. Not
Sure
playing.
could, trying to check up.
Trying to check up. There you go.
Well, and I mean, and none of the plays that have injured Tua have been dirty plays. They're just
No, not
football
necessarily
plays.
dirty, but you beat the offensive lineman clear, and you have that shot.
Sure.
And
gotta take
I
it.
know it's one
sport.
point. Yes.
Yeah, it's a football play.
And the day we don't, then we become full powder puff.
And that's why I don't
just,
want to see
one
him
of
out
those
there.
things.
I think
Yeah.
that's
I don't either.
I don't want to see him
for
out there.
him. And for him in the current, but also him at 50.
Yeah, you're right about that. So I'm glad, it's about time for me to set the show up and get to top and not top story. I'm glad we didn't talk any Cowboys because that was miserable.
Wait till
yesterday.
tomorrow.
Oh man, I can't wait. That was awful. Literally ruined my Sunday. But hey, we'll talk about that later.
On Jerry Jones' birthday too. How about that?
You know what? Good. That's the birthday present he
80,
needed.
82, and you're wishing ill will on a. I mean, Jerry ain't buying green bananas now. Nobody at 82 should be.
Ain't buying green
He needs
bananas.
to buy a better team. I mean, good
Jerry,
Lord.
Jerry goes over to the fully ripened section.
Well, yeah, he absolutely does. But
I mean, he won't buy a green apple.
Oh, geez, that was
Little
was
green
not
apples.
Fun. Little green apples. Oh, yesterday was not fun at all as a Cowboy fan. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, we'll talk about the Tigers and their win over USF on Saturday, 21-3 victory against USF in Orlando. We'll talk a little bit about that and their next game this Saturday against North Texas. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. One game about to start, the other game starting later tonight. We'll talk about both of those, the baseball from over the weekend, a lot to get to in that segment. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us, talk a ton of college football, but also a little bit of college basketball as the AP Top 25 was released this morning. And both of the teams, Memphis will play in exhibition games in the top 10. How about that? North Carolina coming at number 9, Alabama at number 2. So
Now, is there a more meaningless poll
No.
than AP Pre on hoops?
not at all.
I mean, at least with football, it kind of gins the PR machine.
Sure.
But college basketball a little bit lumbers to
Yes.
opening night, and I hate that.
Yes.
But for this, I mean, when you've got that big old bracket,
Sure.
and now maybe preseason in college football doesn't matter
Sure.
as much.
Sure, but no, you're right about basketball. The preseason AP means absolutely nothing because even you get to the preseason AP and people want to talk about Joey Brackett's September bracket rather than AP poll.
Did you get a load of some of those others receiving votes?
I saw a couple of them.
Somebody
I
had
didn't look
fun with their ballots, didn't they?
I saw Little Rock received 3 votes.
My man Darryl Walker
how
with
about
Little
that?
Rock.
Love
Yeah.
that. McNeese
Darryl
got a
likes
bunch
his
of
team.
votes. Good. I think he should. What I've seen this offseason of what
He loved his
had,
team last year, but he knows automatic bid.
Sure.
Won the round robin last
Exactly.
year, but then got beaten in semis.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but you're right. Some weird receiving votes in the AP poll. So we'll talk a little bit about that with David Cobb. 4:30, our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal. He's the Tiger football beat writer. We'll talk about that win over USF and the next game for the Tigers. 5:30, our Monday Night Football pick and preview. Also, big 4 players combined all time, any position, any player for the Jets and the Bills. One list, 1 through 4, any player from Bills and Jets. That should be a lot of fun. Then 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind
Anybody got Vinny Testaverde on the all-time top 4 as a Jet?
No.
Or even in this group?
I do not.
No, but it should
Anybody
be-
have exclusively Bills or exclusively Jets?
Nope. But it should be
Okay.
easy. This is the second time around for both teams.
It's true.
Yep, we've
That's
had the
right.
Bills and we've had the Jets.
That is true.
But we hadn't had this topic.
That's true. So I'm curious to see where y'all went with y'all's list. But let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the world's biggest spa sale going on right now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing is available, and don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too, and all patio furniture. It's priced to move, so head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. Darian Newsom and Grayson in the studio, in the control room, and Bryant Dacus and Brett Northworthy with you live until 6 o'clock. And we want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling the Sissy's Log Cabin text or talk line 901-360-8255. As we go along, I'm going to throw out some provocative questions for you to hit us up at that text and talk line. All our guests will appear at 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. It's Monday, October 14th, 2024, and we got a lot going on this hour. We're always in our Family Leisure studios, and this hour is always brought to you by the great people at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. If you want to stop by and visit them, you can. That's what they prefer. But you can call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2025 models. 25s have taken over, some remaining 24s, and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500. You'll be looking great, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story is the weekend of college football. Another weekend that was thrilling from start to finish. You can really start off with the games on Friday night. We mentioned it, that Utah game against Arizona State, where Arizona State beats ranked Utah in Tempe. The students, the fans rushed to the field, and it was a ton of fun. You also had that same night Northwestern with the big win over Maryland. I don't think anybody saw that coming. 37-10 win for Northwestern. And then we get to Saturday, and it was a ton of fun. You start the morning with the 11 a.m. slate that was highlighted by South Carolina keeping it extremely close with Alabama nearly knocking off the Tide for a second straight week, but Alabama able to win that at 2:30. You get Red River, where Texas comes out a little bit slow. Quinn Ewers is back. He looks a little rusty, and then everything clicked, and they ran away with it. You also had Penn State and USC, a game that went into overtime.
Classic.
Unbelievable game, and Penn State wins it late in overtime. And then that 6 o'clock to 6.
You like those Penn State unis.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Especially the roadies.
Oh, they're
white.
Fantastic.
How great.
Best uniforms in sports, honestly. But that 6 o'clock slate, starting with Florida and Tennessee, a game that I think there were a lot of people that thought Tennessee would, get back right and kind of run away with it. But oh no, Darian's raising his hand. He was one of them. Oh no, not so fast. Here comes Florida.
Rivalry
on
happens.
the road. Rivalry happens. That's right, Brett. Another game that goes to overtime at 6:30. You have Ole Miss and LSU. Another game that goes to overtime where
rivalry happened.
And then the other thrilling game at that time, Oregon and Ohio State. New rivalry, yes. Where Oregon gets the 1-point win at home. Just an unbelievable day. The ending of that Kansas State and Colorado game was incredible as well. All day, Memphis gets a win over USF. All day, great football. Any game you watch was a good one.
Bryant, you almost verbatim. It was almost like we had the same mindset. My top story. October 12th lived up to it.
Yes,
we talked about October 12th all summer. Had it circled, couldn't wait for it. The weekend before happened, and you thought, there's just no way October 12th now can live up to it. It didn't with the blockbusters, but it did with the quality of play. From 11 to 1:30, and that's a lot more than 2.5 hours. That was a whole bunch of hours. Bama, South Carolina. The unthinkable about to happen. The unthinkable. Back-to-back losses for Bama. It didn't. Red River blowout. Penn State and OT at the Coliseum. That scene set, those stadiums, those fans, that history and tradition. Pitt by 2 over Cal. Illinois by 1 in overtime over Purdue. Brett Bielema was back. Tennessee, Florida, overtime classic. Oregon by 1 over the Ohio State University in the first. We know 2, maybe 3. Coach Prime loses a heartbreaker. And at Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night with it as good as anything I've ever been a part of. Yes, the college football historian side of me reveled in that. But I was there proudly with the Ole Miss Rebels, and that side hurts. In fact, probably the most hurtful Ole Miss loss that I've endured in my years on that crew. Maybe Hunter Henry Heave that kept Ole Miss out of Atlanta, but Saturday night was excruciating. If Kentucky was the 2x4 across the forehead, wake-up call, sober-up call, Saturday night was soul-crushing.
Not top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my not top story of the day, we have rankings for college basketball. The AP poll came out earlier today, and here is your top 5. Number 1, Kansas. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, UConn. Number 4, Houston. And number 5, Iowa State. Gonzaga and Duke right outside. The team the Tigers will face in an exhibition tomorrow night, North Carolina, comes in at number 9. I had a feeling they'd be somewhere in that range, but tomorrow night's game, maybe no R.J. Davis in that one. He went down with an injury during a practice over the weekend, had to stop practicing, and I would probably doubt that they throw him out there for an exhibition tomorrow night. I would love to see him, but I just don't know if you. I doubt you risk your best player in an exhibition game. But I think tomorrow night's matchup is still going to be incredible. A good matchup for the Tigers, because now in preseason exhibition games, the Tigers will face number 9 North Carolina and number 2 Alabama. Also, KenPom rankings came out last night at midnight. The Tigers come in the 40s, number 43, 1 spot behind Kentucky, 1 spot in front of Wake Forest. But I bring this up to mention that we talked all offseason, season's now 3 weeks away, about how tough this non-conference slate is. There was a Twitter site, I can't remember the name of it now, forgive me, but they went through and averaged out all of the teams' non-conference schedules on who they play based on their KenPom rankings. The Tigers, far and away, the toughest non-conference slate in college basketball, according to KenPom. So it's going to be a tough one, but Penny Hardaway has always said he wants a tough non-conference schedule. Well, he got it this year.
He sure does, Bryant, and that it has to make you better. If you can survive it, again, that 13 non-conference, I'd sign up right now for 8-5.
Sure, absolutely.
7-6 is pretty sporty. 9-4, I don't think needs any explanation. 10-3, look out. Also, over the weekend, for the weekend in college football, our friend Bruce Marshall, here's what he did on Friday with us, picking games. We're just scatter shooting him on most of these.
Yep.
He lost Bama. He had Bama over South Carolina. Iowa W. Penn State loss. Texas W. LSU W. Oregon W. Florida W. Minnesota and Golden Gophers that he had as his best game of the weekend. Sure W. 6-2 in college football.
Come on now. My
not top story. Are we really going to do this again this year? Are there really people complaining and not happy about Memphis Tigers football? Are we really going to do this? And I said I was going to ask this question. I want response at 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin text line. How happy are you? Are we really going to do this again this year? Are we going to complain our way all the way to another double-digit win season? Is that what we're on the verge of doing? I ask every bit of this in question mark form. Yeah. There hadn't been a period yet. It's all in a question mark form, but I do get fired up about it because we did it last year, and now it appears we're doing it again this year. Complain all the way to another good year. The object is winning. A double-digit 18-point road win in a chaotic week when you didn't know up from down, play, don't play, where, day, what time, what state, what venue. Are we really going to complain? I want the answers.
Yeah. 901-360-8255, Sissy's Log Cabin text line. Let us know your thoughts. But you're right. And now you look at that loss to Navy, top 25 team, Brett.
Sure is. Now, if you're mad over being in the AAC and the schedule of teams, I don't blame you. But that's not changing. In the middle of October, we're not going to go out with North Texas and in with Texas.
No. Never going to happen. Never going to happen.
This is what the schedule is.
Exactly. And yes, you can be upset about the conference, but I think there's a difference there. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we'll talk about that game that Brett mentioned. Tigers, a win over USF, 21-3, that final score. When we come back, we'll talk more about what the Tigers showed on Saturday. That's next on Sportstime.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Friday night lights from 7 to close. Dine in and buy 12 wings, get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekend. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, fall is football.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa setting. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
It's Trucktober at Sunrise Chevrolet US GMC of Culverville. Get a almost $2 grand off this with 824 Chevy Silverado 1500 LT or 24 GMC Sierra from $100. Sunrise Chevrolet US GMC of Culverville. We know it's fun to buy a car.
Price plus tax, title, and license. Price includes $899.50 processing fee. Silverado R124 8261 MSRP 60,600. Dealer incentive 5151. Customer cash 3,000. Bonus cash 1750. Sierra RZ 321564 MSRP 87,500. Dealer incentive 7,000. Purchase allowance 2750. Expires 10/31/24.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join me and 3-time Super Bowl champion Devin McCourty for AFC East action this week when the New York Jets take on the Buffalo Bills. It's a great match of marquee quarterbacks as Aaron Rodgers battles Josh Allen. Don't miss it. It's on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing test, because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great plan.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 30 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Chain Guards vehicle products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in town Memphis. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Already 1-0 Mets in Game 2 of the NLCS. So we're on the top of the second. Mets got
Do the Mets have a good
now.
song like the Cubs?
I don't know. Darius, see if you can look that up. If Mets have a jingle, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I would think maybe, but I don't know.
Cubs got them a great song.
Cubs have a great one. As much as I hate the Cubs, they got
Good thing they got the same number of great songs. They have championships since 1908.
That's a very, very good point. We should mention, and we'll talk more about this in the next segment. We made our picks for this series before last night.
We did.
You had the Mets. I know that. I had the Dodgers. I don't know, Darian, what you had.
Darian,
the Dodgers pointing at his hat.
he got big blue. It was me averting the group lock. I had Mets, everybody else Dodgers. I have Cleveland, and we're waiting for your pick in the AL.
Oh, did you text me about the AL pick? I'm sure you
later.
I'm sure you. Oh, later. Okay, I'm sorry.
We're gonna do it in the baseball segment.
Oh, okay. I thought you had.
Connor has Yankees. Darian has Yankees.
Okay.
I picked Cleveland, but we're gonna get your pick in the baseball
good.
segment. No.
I was just fearful you texted me and I missed it, and everyone was waiting
good,
on my
baby.
picks. Okay, good. Back to the Tigers. You mentioned it in your not top story of the day. 21-3 win. Yes, there were some. They didn't play great, but based on what the week was for everybody involved, both Memphis and USF, and I know much worse for USF, they were the ones that had to leave their city and be relocated somewhere else, but everything was up in the air. Nobody really knew what was going to happen. You play this game, and we said it on Friday, it does not matter what the final score is. Just go down there and win.
Just win. Mm-hmm. That's it. And why this kind of battle of perfection by some in Tiger football world? Not everyone, but it as usual, the X machine is a lot louder than anything else.
Right.
And in a week that you didn't know where, what time, what day. Yeah. I mean, are we leaving Thursday? We're leaving Friday. We're playing in Tampa, Orlando. Are they going to move it to Memphis? Or is it going to be canceled? Whatever it did. And I got my criticisms of the AAC leadership. And, it's kind of like what more do you expect? What do you think Mike's Live's running in and running the AAC?
Oh, no,
you think Jim Delaney's coming out of retirement to run that nothing conference?
No, I do
so,
not.
They did the best they could. Now I see that, they're finally going to get out of Dickey's Arena, and I guess Memphis is full bore ahead for that tournament in 2026. I would just ask the powers that be that are going to do that and spend that money and time and trouble, what do they expect is going to be different? You think this league's going to get better by then? No. I maybe finally Penny and that program take off, and that will make people gravitate to it. But they didn't go to it after his first year with a hometown product, Jeremiah Martin, as the star player. Nobody was at that. Speaking of nobody, on the day D-Wash missed those free throws, do you remember that against Louisville?
Against Louisville, yes.
Do you remember what the crowd was?
There was a lot of red in there.
It was next to nobody in there. There was a lot of empty seats in there.
Yeah.
It was about half full that day for Louisville.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Francisco Garcia sent most of them home.
Yeah. And so, but okay, go ahead and do that. I wish somebody had been paying attention to applying for NCAA tournament dates.
Yeah, no, that I would have much rather that, because I think you're right. I don't see many people being real gung ho about going downtown to see anybody in the American play in the
Texas San Antonio and USF at noon. Yay!
Yeah, I don't see many people going to that. It was much different when it was when Penny Hardaway first started, and it was in Memphis, and still people weren't going, and it was UConn
exactly
and
so
Houston and Cincinnati, and
so maybe 17 months will make a difference. We'll see.
I doubt it. The couple big stories from the game, Tigers and USF. Byron Brown didn't play for USF after getting injured in their last game. He was a game-time
and big
decision.
Dummy Pete Thamel being fed utter rot from USF people.
That he was a game-time decision and then came out on crutches before the game started. So he was out, and his backup, Bryce Archie, did not have a great game. 22 for 41, 234 yards. Kind of picked it up a little bit in the second half. One interception for him. Memphis' defense was great. Only 3 points.
Outstanding.
They only allowed, I think, like 20-something, 24 rushing yards. Held Bryce Archie in check all afternoon. Defense was great on Saturday. There's nothing bad you can say about this defense.
And didn't have to be out there long. Heavy Tiger time of possession win. Just go through the box score. Won the rushing battle. Won the first down battle. Better percentage on third down efficiency. Better percentage in fourth down efficiency. Had more total yards. Seth had the one interception, but that kept it at that. Wasn't turnover fest day. And Brian, when we talk about the word disappointing. And almost everybody's catchphrase now is that, and it drives me crazy. Come up with a new word. And you know who came up with a new word today for one of his players' actions and behavior Saturday?
Ryan Silverfield.
And I think he should be applauded for it. Ryan Silverfield, I love everything about you. You know what he called it? He didn't go, I'm disappointed. We're going to have to talk to him and we're going to have to work with him. He said it was despicable.
That's right.
And that's the word for it.
Yes, no, that's right. His comments on Mario Anderson, who was ejected for spitting at a defensive lineman for South Florida. One of two players on Saturday that was disqualified for spitting on an opponent. It's
never in
disgusting.
The place for it. Never
is what it is. It's nasty.
Low rent. Yeah. And I think, wouldn't that be, that may be a knee to the crotch, wouldn't that be international for disrespect?
Fighting words. International for fighting
international
words.
for by God.
Fighting words.
I'm tying into you.
Yes, no, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. No,
and what way to go, Ryan Silverfield, because now everybody's playing the soft shoe act around all these players, and the coaching staffs are scared to death of players. Are they going to transfer? Are they going to get mad? What's the locker room dynamic with portal and NIL and all this? And for him to say that today, I applaud him. Yep. That's exactly what it was. Not many out there would.
No. I think very few would. But
to the player, if you don't like it, you can keep going.
That's right. This was the entire quote on Mario Anderson. First and foremost, his actions are completely despicable. That's not what we do in our program, and so I apologize on behalf of our program. The way we represented ourselves and our culture, we played a team that was one of the most penalized teams in all of college football. We fell down to that level, and shame on us, but we'll learn from those mistakes. I thought a fantastic answer.
That was awesome. I almost wanted to say Anderson needed to give out a statement himself and apologize, but when your coach comes out like that, that's enough. I accept that.
The adult
the other side.
Exactly.
That's enough, and then at that point, you move on. And yes, I think he should play, and I think he'll play well, and I hope he learns from it. If it happens again, keep going.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I thought that was going to be a big loss for the Tigers because that was, early in the second quarter.
I didn't realize it was that early. I didn't know that.
It was like 11 minutes left in the second quarter. He gets tossed. And, we've talked every week about this backfield right now with all of the injuries, and I was sitting there kind of going, ooh, this could really, really hurt the Tigers if they're really only relying on Brandon Thomas back there. But they got creative. They threw a couple different guys back there at the running back position. But I think all in all, a win's a win, and now they'll turn to North Texas. That game's been announced, a 6:30 kickoff this weekend against South Florida, and then the following week against Charlotte, bright and early, 11 a.m.
Do y'all think maybe Saturday a little bit unlocked breakout for Demir Blankenship?
Yeah,
he's been
I think
balling.
So. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, he is. He's really. It seems like every week he's having better games and looking better out there. So yeah, I would say so.
And remember, back to last year, this is the point where week over week over week, just kept chopping wood and getting better and getting better and getting better with a lot of upset people over winning by 18 on the road.
That's right, yeah. And so I thought a really good win for the Tigers, and now we'll see what they do these next couple of weeks, like I said, against North Texas and Charlotte. But let's go ahead and get to another break. The Mets have broken this game open early against the Dodgers. Yes.
And I guess it'll be apropos. We'll have that song when we come back.
Oh, so they do have a song. How about that? I love it. So we'll talk about what's happening in this Mets-Dodgers game. We'll also talk about that other series. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
What a great time of year. Football, basketball, baseball, golf, and home sales. Home sales? This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensworth Realtors. And why did I throw in home sales at this time of year? Because I have sold homes on the day before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Day. Whether it's someone transferring in through our relocation network or someone just starting their home search, homes sell all year long, just like my golf game being bad, all year long. I may be called Mr. Three-Putt, but at least I'm consistent. If you or someone you know is thinking of selling, make sure and talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure I'm one of them. Find out how my highly successful strategic marketing program can get the winning score you need. Call me and find out why people often say when you want the job done, oh, Shell done. 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Go for that goal and call me. Shell Dunn at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com.
A new era of chicken is here to stay, and it's not your parents' poultry. The Cantina chicken menu from Taco Bell is slow roasted and perfectly seasoned. Take it tacoed up in a crispy white corn tortilla with cheese inside and out, or wrapped in a burrito with fresh purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. However you like it, you'll never chicken the same way again. Get yours today at your nearest Taco Bell and join rewards to earn free food. Available at participating stores. Rewards points are earned on qualifying purchases. All items while supplies last. Subject to terms.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Get ready, Memphis. It's our 35th annual Trucktober happening here at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. Big trucks, little trucks, four-wheel drive trucks, two-wheel drive trucks, crew cab trucks, extended cab trucks, diesel trucks, gas trucks. We got red trucks, black trucks, white trucks. We got trucks for big jobs, and we got trucks for weekend warriors. We got trucks with great gas mileage and trucks for all your towing needs. Huge discounts, big rebates, special interest rates. We've got it all. Ford, slow pay, it's all okay at Sunrise, home of the guaranteed approval. Come see us for all your car, truck, and SUV needs. Visit us at the good-looking building on Highway 64 in Bartlett. It's Truck Month. We make it fun to buy a car.
There's a victim of identity theft every 3 seconds in the U.S. During Cybersecurity Awareness Month, LifeLock wants to remind you of the importance of using multi-factor authentication. What's that? While updating your passwords to be more complex, it's a great first step. Multi-factor authentication adds a second protective layer, like getting a text with a security code to help keep your personal info even safer. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. They alert you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise, guaranteed. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second and detects and alerts you to a wide range of threats, well beyond what you can see on your own. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or money back. Plus, you're backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, up to $3 million in coverage. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial. Go to LifeLock.com. Please use the promo code HERD, H-E-R-D at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is Lauren Choate, Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. Right now, we're offering our Choate's Comfort and Safety Special. For a limited time, when you purchase a $99 tune-up, or if Choate's performs a repair, you'll receive a free 1-year standard fan plan membership at $400 value. Keep your home safe, comfortable, and running smoothly all year long with 2 maintenance visits, priority service, and discounts on future repairs. And for our existing loyal fan plan members, we have something special just for you. Enjoy a $1,000 loyalty coupon toward any new generator, tankless water heater, or HVAC system. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us with your home. Add value, add comfort, and add safety to your home with Choates. Call us today at 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com. Choates, let our family serve your family.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Sportsworthy and Brian Davis.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets.
I forgot about this. That's right.
Bring your kiddies.
I didn't touch the Cubs song.
No, it's good though.
Do they sing it at the games?
I don't know. I hope so. It'd be fantastic.
Very nice.
I like this. I like it. I honestly, it makes me kind of like the Mets a little bit more.
I would have never believed in the 80s with the rivalry with the Cardinals and the Mets that I'd be for the Mets in the NLCS.
And they're looking good right now. 6-0 lead right now, bottom of the second.
All they want is a split.
That's right. And it looks like unless something crazy happens, they're going to get it today after it was really all Dodgers last night.
Blow a 6-0 lead. They don't even go back to Citi Field.
Yeah, you can call it if they blow this lead. I don't think
Base runners on for the Dodgers, though.
That's true. That's true. It could get a
Tommy Edman, what a reemergence he's made.
Tommy Edman, our old pal. How about
Swiss
that?
Army knife, Tommy
That's
Edman.
right. Yeah, stick him anywhere and he'll make a play.
Put him anywhere and he'll hit 240.
Well, yes, that is unfortunately true. But hey, he's a Dodger now. So, So we mentioned earlier it was a 2-0 lead for the Mets. Then Mark Vientos hit a grand slam to open this one wide open. 6-0 in Game 2. Later tonight, we'll have Game 1 of the ALCS, Guardians and Yankees. That one on TBS. I'm excited for this series to start.
Yeah, I am too. And now we have this game getting close. Looking forward to Cleveland. I picked in both of these LCSs. I picked who I'm for. I picked Cleveland. I picked the Mets.
I like that.
No big analysis at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could go that way because I really do want the Guardians to win this series, but I'm gonna have to go with the Yankees.
It was on this day, October 14th, 1985.
Wow, how about that? Happy Columbus Day.
And then 2 days later in Los Angeles, he almost did it again. Ozzie Smith almost hit another home run down that right field line by that little fence, that gate in the right field line at Chavez Ravine before Jack Clark with the home run. And if Ozzie Smith's home run wasn't Jack Buck's best call ever, Jack Clark's was.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great.
He got it all in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Go crazy, folks. Adios. And maybe a World Series trip winner for Jack Clark. He got it all in.
I love it.
And speaking of storylines, how about Lindor if the Guardians do get back? Lindor back against his old team.
That's true.
How about that? Almost 10 years. What about 10 years later?
Yeah.
2015-ish?
That'd be fun. Ah, man, I love
Lindor. World Series.
Cleveland.
Yeah, World Series Lindor, yeah.
Yeah, he sure was. Oh, that'd be so much fun. All right, Mets get out of the second inning, so that's good for them.
Interesting starting pitching last night for the Mets.
Yes.
Very rare to see somebody say, let's just eat game one.
Well, that was a little strange. They certainly did.
You can only lose 3 more times, man.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But, I mean, they've been trying to get Senga going all year, and just really hasn't. Another guy that's kind of suffered injuries. And so, yeah, I was a little surprised when I saw him announced as the starter first game. But I guess, if you're going to just throw somebody out there, guess do it in game one. Might as well.
In that day when Osborne Earl Smith went yard, one of the great parts about it, and we had it synced up, TV, radio. You could do those things then. I don't know how you can't now, but we could do those things then. And the NBC graphic, NBC doing baseball, it shows in 2,267 career at bats. Never hit one left-handed. And Tom Niedenfuer just pumping gas. Would have never believed. And, and his will too, someday, by someone, but would have never believed that home run by Ozzie Smith would get topped. But David Freese did it.
Yeah, no, you're right about
And
that.
David Freese did it, to stave off elimination in the World Series, to win Game 6, to push it to Game 7. So Freese has the biggest home run, but Ozzie Smith was some kind of special.
Oh, yeah, it was, and the call is
at some point today, Darian, cue up the full at bat if you can find it anywhere. Unless it runs too long. I know we don't have a lot of time today.
Yeah. I think I might have it somewhere. I'll have to look and see.
Okay.
If I can,
I bet you do for the loop. Yeah.
I think I do, and I think we've played it before, and so I think I might have it saved somewhere.
October 14th, 1985. That is
crazy.
39 years ago. How in the hell did that happen?
Where'd the time go, Brett? Oh, that's great. That is hilarious.
I may be out on that one. That may be all I do today, realizing that.
That's fantastic. But no, we'll see what happens the rest of the way with this Mets and Dodgers game. How long is it?
48 seconds.
Oh, perfect.
Let it re-up. Take it right to break with it.
Yeah.
Had a runner at third, nobody out in the first and didn't score. Second and third, one out in the second and didn't score. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game.
That's electric. Oh, that was fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're talking college football and college basketball with David Cobb.
Courtney D. Avery Optician reminds everyone that early detection is the best defense against breast cancer. Visit your doctor regularly, and if you're over 40, have an annual mammogram. And don't forget to ask about the BCG and That's brought to you by Courtney D. Avery Optician at 1079 North 61 Road in Cordova. Serving the area with expertise for years. Courtney D. Avery Optician at 901-930-5288.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa center might go on forever. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Kevin Hartland and Devin McCourty will have the call coming up on Monday Night Football with an AFC East rivalry game when Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets host Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Both quarterbacks are coming off poor performances and a loss last week. Who will get the important division win? Join us to find out on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? 'Cause I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
O'Reilly. Extend the life of your engine with a full synthetic oil change and save at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, pick up 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard oil filter for $29.99. Or upgrade to a MicroGuard Select filter for just $2 more. Limits apply. Offer in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Looks pretty good over here right now as we check it out live on 40 eastbound as you come past Warford, Hollywood, working your way towards White Station, headed south of Memphis in pretty good shape. Also, let's keep up the good work there on 55 southbound as you work your way down into DeSoto County just to be on the safe side. Give yourself extra time. I-40 west headed out through Arkansas towards Forest City. It was slow out in that area a little bit, maybe about 15-20 minutes ago. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Here once again are Greg Morsworthy and Bryant Dacre.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. If you weren't listening last segment, a quick update on Mets-Dodgers. Mets 6-0 lead in the top of the third over the Dodgers. They're in full control right now after Dodgers were in full control yesterday. We got to talk some college football. We got to talk some college basketball, and we do it every Monday with David Cobb.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
All right, David, a lot to get to, so let's start with your alma mater, Tennessee, a close one after last week losing to Arkansas, a close one against Florida. It has to go to overtime, but they ultimately pull it out in extra time. What did you see from both sides, Tennessee and Florida, Saturday night?
Well, I saw Tennessee for the second straight week knocking out a starting quarterback to have a chance to win a game, because Florida had just gone on a really long scoring drive with Graham Mertz. Tennessee knocks him out. Well, all of a sudden they got to go to DJ Lagway And I give all the credit in the world to Neyland Stadium because it was on another level. It certainly appeared. And that made a big difference in the game, that home field advantage. But I think it's concerning that you got to knock out the starting quarterback of your opponent to feel like you got a chance against some of these mid to lower tier SEC teams. And that is an indictment on the Tennessee offense. That group is really struggling. They've been struggling for about 10 quarters now for the entirety of the Arkansas game, the entirety of the Florida game, and the second half of the Oklahoma game. That offense has not been anywhere close to what was expected from it, and that's got to change if this team is going to make the playoffs.
David, did you think Billy Napier should have gone for 2 and roll the dice, win it or lose it right there in regulation?
It's easy to second guess in hindsight. I think he got what he wanted. He wanted Tennessee to burn a timeout because Tennessee was going to go into that last possession with all 3 of its timeouts. And I think in his mind, he was like, all right, we make them burn one. That's just a little small edge in our favor. Then we go out and tie the game. But you think about that situation, playing with a true freshman quarterback on the road in that environment, typically not going to go well for you in overtime. And so, yeah, in hindsight, easy decision to go for it. And look at it. What does he have to lose? He's coaching for his job. This Florida team is going nowhere fast. If you pull the upset, hey, look, and you roll the dice right there, you give your fan base something to get excited about, at least for the time being. So, yeah, the more that I talk about it, it's easy to talk yourself into Florida needs to go for it there. I mean, the rule of thumb is always that on the road you go for 2, whereas at home you play for overtime. Hey, Brian Kelly followed the rule. It worked for him. Maybe Billy Napier should have followed the rule as well.
Yeah, I was on the sideline at that point, David, and an Ole Miss administrator said to me that he thought Brian Kelly would go for 2 and try to win it in regulation, and I respectfully said, why would you with Ole Miss's record historically at Tiger Stadium? Why would you do that? And then it played out perfectly for Brian Kelly in overtime. The other side of that, on the road, Billy Napier, and how many times have they broken Tennessee's heart in games kind of like that? I think I would have gone for it in real time. I was saying that it's not Monday afternoon quarterbacking.
Yeah, it's just a brutal moment for Ole Miss. Never trailed in regulation, and that was such a just kind of out of nowhere drive from Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, I thought the Ole Miss defense played pretty well. LSU couldn't run the football at all. It was just feast or famine for them in the passing game. The problem was that LSU's defense actually had a pulse in the second half of that game, and Ole Miss didn't score a touchdown after halftime. So that's not how I saw that game going. And when you look at the way they played a year ago, and it was, 55-49, and now you got a 29-26 overtime game, and that was surprising. And it totally impacts the college football playoff picture as well because LSU is right back in it now. Everyone kind of wrote them off after the loss to USC to open the year, but Brian Kelly and his guys, man, they found a way. Now they're back in the conversation. The AP voters, they vaulted them all the way up past Tennessee for that performance. So, that to me, as great as the Ohio State-Oregon game was, and it was great, the LSU-Ole Miss game was almost more important because Ohio State-Oregon, I think both those teams are going to be in the playoff. They might play against the Big Ten championship game. But LSU-Ole Miss kind of felt like an elimination game for me. And Ole Miss certainly has its back against the wall now as if it didn't before. And that's a tough place to be when you got 5 games left to play.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people in the Ole Miss world talk about winning out. I don't know how you can talk winning out when you lost at home as a 16-point favorite to Kentucky, and it's the only game that Brock Vandagriff has had a pulse in. He was bad again Saturday night at home in Lexington at Kroger Field against Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt was more physical in the lines of scrimmage against Kentucky than Ole Miss was.
Right. Yeah, it's the big explosive passing plays that are kind of doing them in. It was the 70-whatever yarder from Vandagriff to Barryon Brown in the fourth quarter of that game for Kentucky against Ole Miss. And then you got Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, my man threw 29 incompletions, but he had a lot of big plays.
He kept chunking it.
He did, and eventually it worked out. Whereas
sure did.
For Ole Miss, it didn't necessarily play out that way because Jackson Dart came out playing pretty efficient, and then down the stretch, he just really couldn't find anything in the pass game, and had the bad interception. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough to watch from Ole Miss, and I know it's deflating with how much was sort of riding on this season and how much this was a season that you build to. And it's not over yet, but these two losses and just the way they've happened are really brutal for Ole Miss.
And in SEC play, even in the win against South Carolina, very few touchdown drives for Ole Miss.
It's a concern with this offense across the country right now. You look at the way Tennessee's struggling, the way Ole Miss is struggling. Look at South Florida, the team that Memphis just beat, and I realized they didn't have their starting quarterback on Saturday when Memphis went down there and held them without a touchdown. But all three of those teams, Tennessee, Ole Miss, South Florida, there's others around the country who run that system, and it's not quite working like it used to. And the question is out there, is the book out? Do people understand how to defend that veer and shoot, receivers split wide sort of system now? It's it was revolutionized about a decade ago or more now with Baylor initially, and there's a lot of people out there running it. Jeff Levy's doing it now, Mississippi State. It's become a lot more common, though. Defenses are more accustomed to it, and when you have a fake injury on every other play to slow down the offense, it kind of takes some of the wind out of the sails with what those coaches are doing with that.
It does. And David, it was first offered up by Mel Kiper, whom I love. I love Mel Kiper. But he's advocating in the NFL for the abolition, to abolish the too high safety look. Well, if we do that, then every game's going to look like fantasy football scores. It's going to be 85-84. I mean, the defense doesn't have any chance now. You can't sneeze on the quarterback. I mean, you can't get near him. And if we eliminate that, let's just play flag football. And Mel's talking about it for the NFL, but you know that it would be the trickle down, and that's what is really flummoxing, I think, Jackson Dart and the Ole Miss offense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And poor offensive line play.
We're gonna make drastic rule changes. My vote would be that any player who leaves the field due to injury is ineligible to return until the next possession.
I'm for that. What the administrators fear, David, I'm with you there, and I think something's got to be done, and I have said clearly I think it is a particularly bad look for Ole Miss with feigning these injuries. Very nice word for faking. But if you do that, what the administrators are scared of is the guy is really hurt. He needs to come out, and he's going to get up and stay in there to his own detriment when he needs to come out.
That, to me, is that's a personal decision, and guys have been making really poor personal decisions with regard to their health in football for as long as the game has been played.
Great comeback.
Some of them, who have lifelong issues as a result. It's not. I'm not just talking about Ole Miss. Like I saw them put out that
I agree.
or whatever. It seems all over the country who are faking these injuries, and it happens to Ole Miss. Like the other team slows them down by doing that as well. So it's like it's an epidemic. It's so ridiculous. Somebody needs to do a mashup of all these clips, because what happens is the guy's totally fine when he initially gets up from the contact. Then he looks over to the sideline. Somebody's doing a specific hand signal that tells him to go down.
Right.
And then what's funny is sometimes there's two of them who go down because they both see the signal at the same time, and it's oh wow, isn't that wild? You both got cramps at the exact same moment. You know.
Now, David, it's a bad look now. But what do you say to this comeback? Since we're there, what do you say to this comeback? We know late in college and pro basketball, we know they are intentionally fouling, but the referee takes the powder and doesn't call it an intentional foul, and we have that parade to the free throw line when you know they are meaning to foul.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least it's not a fake foul; it's a real foul. The foul is actually committed within. These are fake injuries, so that's one distinction I'd make. But I mean, it's a good point. Like it's the basketball equivalent, and that's been discussed too. And they have made some steps because you know how
we changed the rule on 1-and-1s. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got the transition take foul now, so that if you do that in the NBA, then it's a free throw in the ball. There's. I agree, though. I mean that's a good comeback, especially in those late game basketball situations where you're down 3, or excuse me, you're up 3, and you foul. That to me is kind of like against the spirit of the game a little bit. Because if you send the opponent to the free throw line, the best they can do is 2 from there, and you're up 3. So, I mean, yeah, but the football thing, it's just getting so aggravating, and
It is.
It's an epidemic, the fake injury epidemic, and we got to fix it.
And it delays the game, and the games are already at a glacial pace, even after we tried to move them along. Also, this, David, my favorite / least favorite Ole Miss injury a few years ago. One of the defensive linemen got the signal, and he goes down holding his right knee. The trainers go out, and he comes off favoring the left knee. He got the knees confused coming off the field. Come on, you got to keep your story straight.
Well, these guys, they do a great job with the acting to the extent where you're like, oh wait, maybe he is hurt. Maybe he really is hurt.
All theater minors.
What do the trainers think? I would love to do an anonymous interview with some of these athletic trainers.
Well, you know it at a lot of places. They're going out there and the guy's saying, I ain't hurt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Like surely they're not trying to convince the trainer that they're hurt. Like what do they talk about for that 30 seconds where the guy's down on the field? Like, man, so did you hear we're getting Wingstop catered to the locker room after the game? Right.
Oh, that's
crazy.
That is crazy. David, what have you made of the job Kenny Dillingham has done out at Arizona State? We know where this program was before he took it over with Herm Edwards and what he did with Arizona State. I just went back and pulled it up. Preseason Big 12 poll at Media Days had Arizona State picked dead last to finish 16th. Now they're 5-1 with a big win Friday night over Utah.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Now, of course, the win comes against Utah with a very unhealthy and not right-looking Cam Rising. But who cares, man? Like, when you inherited a program that was in the depths of despair like Arizona State was after that Herm Edwards recruiting scandal, to be in a position to make a bowl game in year 2 is really impressive. And Arizona State might be in a position to do even more than that. Now, they do have some of their more difficult games coming up. But I, without a doubt, believe there's at least one more victory in the quiver for these guys. I mean, they really impressed. Like Kenny Dillingham and that entire Mike Norvell Memphis coaching tree is on another level right now with the type of success that they're having around the country. When you look at obviously Dan Lanning at Oregon and Pete Limbo at Buffalo and Silverfield's now 5-1. I mean, it's impressive. But I mean, I think of that group, I mean, Kenny Dillingham is somebody who's not getting enough recognition across the country because what he inherited was dire. I mean, they had so few scholarship players when he got the job, and he had to go out and get in the portal hard with a postseason ban looming overhead. And so the fact that he's got Arizona State on the doorstep of a bowl in mid-October is that's Big 12 Coach of the Year type of stuff right there from Kenny Dillingham.
Mm-hmm. Another one of those coaches from the Mike Norvell coaching tree, Dan Lanning, picks up a signature win over Ohio State Saturday night, 32-31. I mean, is the takeaway from this game that both these teams are just really, really good? I mean, that was a great game Saturday night.
It sure was. How about we go from Tennessee, Florida overtime?
Oh, man.
Then we go to Ohio State, Oregon with that finish, and then by the way, LSU and Ole Miss is still at it.
Right.
That was a great window of games, and it came after some other really good ones throughout the day.
Kentucky and Vandy was right in there too.
Sure was, yeah.
I mean, I didn't even get a chance to watch it because there was so much else on.
Oh, you missed a great one, David.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go see Diego Pavia doing his thing on the condensed version or something. But and of course, I mean, obviously, like Alabama, South Carolina was so great. So yeah, I mean, anyway, Ohio State, Oregon was the headliner, and it delivered. Really impressive because Ohio State came out, kind of hit Oregon in the mouth early, but then Oregon just never flinched. And I thought Dan Lanning coached with courage. He didn't coach to keep it respectable. He didn't coach to like, oh, well, let's just do the conservative options to try and stay in the game, and maybe we'll have a chance to steal one late. Like, no, he coached like with his heart on his sleeve. I love Dan Lanning. I mean, he might be my favorite coach in college football right now. I don't know if y'all saw the game day feature on him and his wife, but like, you know, he's just so passionate.
And his tribute to Memphis.
Yeah, it is, and I love the fact that he's out there with his faith, but he's not phony about it like some of these coaches are. He just seems very authentic. Like he seems like the type of person that would be really easy to play for because a great motivator, but he's also a really good defensive mind. He makes good hires. He's killing it. He's doing a great job with the fundraising that you need to be successful in the portal. I mean, there is nothing that you can look at with the way Dan Lanning is coaching Oregon right now and say, well, this could be a weakness or a blind spot. Like, he is operating at an absolutely elite level right now as a coach.
And he came out of that very famous Alabama football shop, the analyst shop there. Bama now more famous for being a basketball school. What is that in the Associated Press poll today, David?
They should be number one.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. There were three things that blew me away. What in the world does UConn have to do to be preseason number one? Then Bama ranked that high, and then Ole Miss in a preseason basketball poll, and the Tigers didn't even get a vote.
Oh, man.
Oh, I saw that. Okay, stats. I pulled up the AP Top 25 for basketball earlier, and I had to recheck the page about 3 times to make sure I didn't actually accidentally have the football page up.
Stunning.
Because I did the same thing when I saw Ole Miss at 24. I was like, now, wait a second. Did they get docked that far for the loss to LSU? And then I was like, wait a second. This is basketball. I think Ole Miss is going to be an NCAA tournament team because this is what Chris Beard does. But I wouldn't have had him in the preseason top 25. But, I mean, hey,
he loves his team.
Well, he should. I mean, he reloaded it. I think that what's interesting is that they kind of traded in Jamarion Sharp and Musa Cisse, the towering shot blockers, for a more athletic, more nimble, more agile type of group. Obviously, they did bring in the 7-footer John Bull. Like, they're going to have somebody with some size. But, I like Ole Miss. And then where I was surprised by Ole Miss there, I should say. And I do like Ole Miss, just maybe not to the extent of having them ranked. I'm of the opinion that Alabama should have been number one because they bring back Mark Sears, they bring back Latrell Wrightsville and Grant Nelson. They got really talented players coming in. I think voters are kind of like, Kansas. We recognize Hunter Dickinson, we recognize DeJuan Harris. They got some portal ads. I think just probably based on brand is what got Kansas there to number one.
If Chris Beard goes to a Sweet 16 before Penny Hardaway does, I may laugh myself to sleep.
I wouldn't rule it out, man. Yeah. You look at his track record, year 2. Believe it was year 2 when he took Texas Tech to the national title game, was it not? So,
if he does that, I faint.
Yeah, that would be incredible. But the SEC is just going to be brutal. I mean, it's going to be so tough. This is as good as the SEC's ever been.
All right, David, the 16-team league, there's 5. I think I have this right. There's 5 that's never been to a Final Four. I'm not talking about winning at all, just to a Final Four. Ole Miss, Vandy, Tennessee, A&M, and Missouri. Out of those 5, who is it time for them to go to a Final Four? Ole Miss, Vandy, Tennessee, A&M, or Mizzou?
Well, it's been long past time for Tennessee. I don't know if they've got the team to do it. We'll see this year if they take a big step back offensively, losing Dalton Connect. I'm going to go with Texas A&M. Buzz Williams, again, has just incredible continuity, veteran leadership. Wade Taylor is back for what feels like a 5th year.
Yeah.
I mean, they fell short. They fell flat last year, even though they almost beat Houston in the second round in that wild game in Memphis. But, man, we were talking about Texas A&M as a potential league title winner going into last season, and they've got a lot of those guys back, and maybe they finally put it together this year. So I'd say it's time for Buzz Williams and the Aggies to make that breakthrough.
Well, David, I have 2 questions before we let you go. I'm going to ask them together for you, both SEC basketball related. The first one, in addition to AP dropping this morning, KenPom rankings dropped at midnight last night, and the SEC is the highest rated conference on KenPom right now, just a small bit ahead of the Big 12. We know how strong the Big 12 has been in years past. So my first question, which will be the toughest league this year, the Big 12 or the SEC? And then second, a little hypothetical, let's say Mark Sears does not exist, he's not at the University of Alabama. Who is the best player in the SEC?
Yeah, that's I mean, he's so clearly the preseason SEC player of the year. I mean, it's just not even not even really close there. So I might go John L. Davis, the Florida Atlantic transfer who John Calipari snagged out of the portal. He was my top-rated transfer, and I think the way their roster is configured, he's going to have a chance to put up some pretty big numbers for the Razorbacks. So he would likely be my pick in that scenario, but I am of the opinion that the SEC might be the toughest league in the country this year. You add Texas and Oklahoma. I think Missouri's going to be right back there in the picture. Ole Miss is going to take a step forward. And then you look at the Big 12, gets just a tad bit watered down with some of the lower-tier additions amid conference realignment.
Look out for BYU, though.
Oh, man.
Well, that's true. They did lose Mark Pope, but they did a good job of retaining some of that talent. But, I mean, like, you bring in Arizona State and Colorado from the basketball side of things. They drag you down a little bit in the way that the Big 12 has not typically been dragged down. But it'll be a knockdown, drag-out type of fight between those two conferences. And, I mean, the Big Ten might get in that mix, too, because it's just it was really tough when we had to do our Big Ten preseason predictions. Our staff was all over the map on who was going to be the title winner in that conference. I mean, there's about 5 or 6 teams. None of them really look like they're going to be that dominant, but all of them at least have a chance to win the conference. So it's, I'm excited, man. We are so close to getting this thing fired up in college basketball, and it's kind of shocking. It always happens around this time of year. You look up and it's like, oh snap, here we go. We got basketball on deck. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Winter time is going to be so much fun. And, David, I want to be the first to say it. I'm with you on John L. Davis, with you on all the additions that John Calipari's made. But you know the old saying, especially around some Cal teams, only one basketball.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not necessarily super high on Arkansas as a team. John L. Davis as a player, yes. I've actually got Kentucky finishing ahead of Arkansas in my preseason SEC predictions because I like the fit and the pieces and the roles of all those players that Mark Pope brought in at Kentucky. There's not as many stars. There's not as many future NBA players as there is at Arkansas. But sometimes that's okay. As you mentioned, Brett, there's only one basketball to go around. And
NBA draft night's everything to Cal.
It is. And that used to coincide automatically with college basketball success. Now it's not so clear that it does. Look at Duke and what they're trying to do this year with a top-flight freshman class, Cooper Flagg, just a ton of talent on that roster. I mean, it worked for them a decade ago, but a lot has changed in that decade. John Calipari in Kentucky, they got kind of washed up doing that one and done, going after the talent sort of thing. It stopped working for them, and Duke's kind of doubling down on it. And that's one of my biggest storylines going into this season. Does it work for Duke with Cooper Flagg?
And that's my criticism of John Calipari. I think the first weekend in April should matter a lot more than the last Thursday in June.
It does. It should. Yeah, it should. And I'm not going to try to rain on the Razorbacks parade here. I know their fans are excited, but they're paying a lot of money for something that hasn't worked in quite a while. So let's hope they can kind of find the oil to grease the wheels on that engine there because, it just clearly had bottomed out for him at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Check with me in 2 years.
We'll do.
David, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, David. David Cobb joining us. And, Brett, I'm glad you brought up BYU. Seeing A.J. DeBonza, the number one player in the class of 2025 on his visit over the weekend, and BYU students chanting his name and being told,
get him.
Yeah, that he is the leader right now, or they are the leader right now for A.J. DeBonza is crazy. But they've got the NIL, they've got the coach. It's going to be, I think it's going to be scary in a couple of years for BYU.
The owner of the Utah Jazz that's just made of money has said whatever it takes.
Wow.
And he's BYU alum.
How about that? Well, getting A.J. DeBonza and their team, I like their team this year a lot as well, but getting him would be massive. Before we get to a break, let me remind you about our great sponsors, Wilson's Pro Wash. Do me a favor. Picture this. Picture your home beautifully clean and pristine. Does that seem impossible? Well, not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Their Gentle Touch Pro Wash will restore your house, fence, driveway, commercial building, and more to their very best. Wilson specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces from concrete to stone, brick to mortar, and even wood to vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal your surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Wilson's Pro Wash, clean is their mission. They'll wash away everything but your sins. So give them a call at 901-524-6799. That's 901-524-6799 or online at wilsonsprowash.com. Let's get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate. Let's fire up. Hey, money's right. Seriously, we didn't check the propane. Who wants to? Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. Right now, we're offering our Choate's Comfort and Safety Special. For a limited time, when you purchase a $99 tune-up, or if Choate's performs a repair, you'll receive a free 1-year standard fan plan membership at $400 value. Keep your home safe, comfortable, and running smoothly all year long with 2 maintenance visits, priority service, and discounts on future repairs. And for our existing loyal fan plan members, we have something special just for you. Enjoy a $1,000 loyalty coupon toward any new generator, tankless water heater, or HVAC system. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us with your home. Add value, add comfort, and add safety to your home with Choates. Call us today at 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com. Choates, let our family serve your family.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Pro Wash, your residential and commercial pressure washing service you can trust. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for a look back at the weekend in the SEC. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies with 9,000 square foot in Laurelwood. Let's go inside the SEC with Bryant and Brett.
Chad Kelly in the gun formation. 3rd and inches for Ole Miss.
Carlton will kick it. It is on the way, and it is up.
Buck Bellew looking at it, going to pitch it to Herschel Walker, try to get him outside. He's going to get 5.
The snap is high. Kelly grabs it, wants to throw, fires it up in the air. Treadwell can't get it.
It is good! Oh, my!
Get it. Deflection is caught. Deflection is caught. And down the sidelines is Adebayo. He's to the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
He's got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. He needs a block. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel.
And you can wrap this one in maroon and white, my friends.
Arkansas is headed to Atlanta.
The national champion is clad in big orange.
I said earlier, Bryant, the unthinkable almost occurred at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium Saturday, but it didn't. Bama wins 27-25 over South Carolina. 2 losses in a row for Bama would have been, that would have rocked the stadium. But it was averted. Botched onside kick by Alabama. Lenore Sellers, a very average player, was dealing on Bama. I didn't see any of that in him the week before. South Carolina outrushed, outpassed Bama. They had less penalties than Alabama, but 4 turnovers, impossible to overcome on the road. Jalen Milroe was good enough. That was about it. South Carolina, not that good a team. This week, Bama, 3rd Saturday in October on Rocky Top, South Carolina at OU. That'll be 2 bad quarterbacks on display in Norman.
Yes, it will. And you mentioned Jalen Milroe. I mean, kind of uncharacteristic 2-interception game for him. That takes him up to 4 on the season. So he was, up and down pretty much all game. Alabama couldn't really run the ball. Jalen Milroe only 42 yards on 12 carries. So they averted absolute disaster with back-to-back losses, but definitely 2 scary weeks for Alabama fans.
Someone said Saturday in our car driving to the stadium, if Bama loses, the honeymoon's over. I said, no, the honeymoon ended last week. If they lose to South Carolina, that means the mother-in-law is stopping by unannounced way too often.
Yes, I like that comparison.
The next game Saturday morning, Mizzou 45-3 over UMass in Amherst in one of the odder scheduled SEC games, except for in a few years, Ole Miss scheduled to go to UConn and play at Stores. Tell me why.
Right.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes. Saturday, I thought it was Norm Stewart for Mizzou against John Calipari at UMass. 61-yard jet sweep for Luther Burden got it started. 231 passing for Mizzou, 230 rushing, so very balanced. Easy win, Mizzou, this week at home against Auburn. Tigers versus Tigers.
Yeah, this might have been one of the funniest things from the weekend is watching game day, and they go to Amherst to show a video.
The leaves were pretty.
They were, but they show the players, Missouri's players, getting off the bus and going to the locker room, and it was like, what is this team doing at this stadium at UMass? What is going on? But we all expected this. Missouri, after that really, really ugly performance against Texas A&M, they bounced back and win handedly over UMass.
Red River was a smashing. Texas 34-3 over Oklahoma, but the presentation by ABC Saturday had both great sideline reporters on duty with Holly Rowe on one side and Laura Rutledge on the other. That tells you how big the game was. Wasn't it a little much for Herb Street just to do an hour and then get on the plane and fly? I'm not much on the carbon footprint, but that footprint seemed a little big, didn't it?
Yeah, and then we're going to him in the convertible as he's driving to the airport, and then we're on the plane with him getting pics. And,
just a little much, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I like the thought. I like the idea. There may be something there, but yeah, it was a little much.
I hope I'm increasing my carbon footprint. I don't know what that means, but Saturday quarterback for Oklahoma, I don't know what that was either. Could have pulled 10 people out of the stands and been better than what OU had at quarterback. Yeah. Quinn Ewers was good. He wasn't real sharp early. I thought Texas missed some opportunities early, but it was enough. 89 yards rushing for OU on the day. Quintrevion Wisner for Texas, he had 118. He outrushed OU by himself. This week, OU hosts South Carolina, and Texas hosts Georgia in Austin.
Oh, man, that's going to be an incredible game. But you mentioned Quinn Ewers. He looked like a player just coming back from injury after missing a handful of games. He was rusty early. You mentioned it. They missed some opportunities. But ultimately, second quarter, second half, he was able to lock in and looked pretty good in the second half. Run game looked really, really good. 177 rushing yards, over 400 yards of offense. It was, you had some questions early, but ultimately Texas figured it out.
Georgia 41-31 over Mississippi State, 459 for Carson Beck, and I think therein lies the problem. Georgia having to do it way too much through the air. State battled hard. They're 1-5, but Jeff Lebby has established them as battling. He's going to get players. He's got a good system. I thought he had a really good offensive plan Saturday that moved the ball pretty well. They were only 2 of 12 on third down. That made it rough for them to pull off the upset. this week, Georgia at Texas. As I said, State at home against Texas A&M. There'll be a lot of maroon at Scott Field Saturday. Excuse me, Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field before somebody texts. Get our name right.
Correct yourself, Brad. No, I mean, you mentioned it. I think everyone knew what the season would be for Mississippi State. It's going to take some time, and we knew there were going to be a lot of losses there.
Show some pride. Show some fight, and they have.
And it feels like every week in this segment we said the same thing. They lost, but hey, there's something there. They battled, and certainly a 10-point loss against Georgia really battled. You mentioned it. Georgia got one-dimensional, had to throw the ball way too much, just couldn't get anything going on the ground. So, good win for Georgia, but on the other side, I love the fight, like you mentioned, from Mississippi State.
I promise you, State fans, good days are ahead with Jeff Levy. Tennessee 23-17 over Florida in overtime. Nico Mania has turned into Dylan Sampson, toting the rock for him for this UT team. 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Nico, not a good night. 1 interception, but he didn't have 2. If he had had 2, they lose. That would have cost them the game. Winning should be celebrated anytime for Tennessee over Florida. 2 critical Gator turnovers. UT home this week against Bama. Florida at home against Kentucky.
Yeah, Dylan Sampson was awesome. 27 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now in the season, he's up to 701 yards and 15 touchdowns. He's been awesome. Nico didn't look great, under 200 yards throwing, 1 interception. We talked about it. Florida's going to fight. This is a rivalry game. They weren't going to give up. They weren't going to lay down. They certainly didn't do that.
Their front's pretty good.
It is. It's really good. And now the injury with Graham Mertz is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's going to be a lot of what do you got, DJ Lagway? Obviously the future for Florida, and now we'll get extended run the rest of the year.
Vandy 20-13 at Kentucky. America's team. That's Vanderbilt. Right. 2 touchdown passes by Diego Pavia. The story of the SEC so far this year, it's Vanderbilt. 2 turnovers for Kentucky. Brock Vandegrift still he's had 1 good game. That was against Ole Miss. Every team is making the Ole Miss defensive, or the offensive line for Ole Miss is making every team look like the steel curtain for the Steelers in the 70s. Vandy 8 of 13 on 3rd down against Kentucky. The last 2 weeks against Kentucky and Alabama, Vandy's 20 of 29 on 3rd down. That's how you win football. Yep. Vandy this week at home against Ball State. Kentucky at the Swamp.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, America's team. They're playing really good ball, and now receiving votes in the top 25. Diego Pavia has become everybody's favorite quarterback, and he did his thing again against Kentucky. I did not think they were going to win this game. I don't think many people thought they were going to win this game after beating Alabama, but they come out and they stick to their game plan. A little bit of everything. I mean, you look at it, about $140 rushing, $140 passing, and keep the ball, hold on to it, win the time of possession.
Just kind of cobbled together a W.
And at the end of the day, you'll get a W. That game was on SEC Network after they had the walk-off interview with Diego Pavia, and they asked him about Jerry Kill and his relationship and all of that, and Diego Pavia starts getting really fired up talking about Jerry Kill and what he means to him and everything, and I forgot what the sentence was. But we almost let another cuss word fly.
Yeah, because he got it last week.
He sure did. And they patted him on the back after it and said, "Good job. You're
getting better, Diego.
You're getting better. You were able to stop yourself this time." So I love Diego Pavia.
That's good and fun story.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, LSU 29-26 in overtime over Ole Miss. Ole Miss led the entire game except for when it really matters, and that's what goes in the Lamb Book of Life, the record book. 102,000 at Tiger Stadium. It lived up to it. 6 sacks for LSU, 9 tackles for loss. Again, every D-line looks like the Steel Curtain Steelers against Ole Miss. Garrett Nussmeier was nails when it mattered. Had some errant throws, but knew when to hold them, knew when to fold them. Son of a coach. His dad played in the NFL, has coached everywhere. He was clutch down the stretch. And in the end, at Tiger Stadium, LSU was LSU, and sadly at Tiger Stadium in that game, Ole Miss ended up being Ole Miss. Total yards, Ole Miss had more, 100 more rushing yards. Penalty and turnovers, they were in better shape. But the bright lights at Tiger Stadium, it sure propelled LSU to a big win. Yeah. All credit to the Tigers.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Garrett Nussmeier early in the game, made some mistakes, had some throws that he certainly would like to have back. But, late in the game, when it mattered, when it was coming down, they're trailing. They need some points on the board.
He had some
dimes. He made every single throw he needed to make. I love watching Garrett Nussmeier throw the ball. He's a lot of fun to watch, and certainly a big win for LSU.
Brian, I have learned a valuable lesson. And when you hand your phone to someone to take a picture with someone, hand it to someone 30 or younger. So 2 times in the last 6 weeks, I've paid the price for handing it to somebody older. When I was in St. Louis throwing out the first pitch against Seattle a couple Sundays ago, I handed it to the mother of a young child that was also out there. And she took a picture of herself watching me throw out the first pitch. Saturday night, I'm with Shaquille O'Neal, and he's got his elbow on top of my head, and I hand it to an older guy on our crew, and he takes a picture of himself watching me with Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, Brad, what that should tell you is they know who you are, and they're trying to have memories of themselves in your phone. That's what it was. You're the star. You're
but
the star.
I want me in my phone.
I know you want you.
That is insane. Wow.
So did you get the Shaq photo right?
No, because it was one shot deal and keep going. I mean, I couldn't tell him we screwed it up, Shaq. Can we do it?
One more.
Yeah. But he had a great line. He goes, during the game, I'm gonna come over here and tear y'all's little basketball goal down. You're dunking on behind the sideline.
That's fantastic. Shaq,
largest human being you're ever really around.
And he had the big Diesel chain on.
You can see Andre the Giant. You can see Yao Ming. You can see all of them from afar. To stand by the enormity of that human being.
That's awesome.
And just a great guy.
Oh, I cannot believe you didn't get the picture. Oh, I feel the pain for you, Brett. That's awful.
Do not hand your phone to old people to have a picture taken. Gee whiz. That's our look back at the weekend, brought to you every Monday at 4:30 by the great people at Sissy's Log Cabin with all the locations across the Mid-South. Since 1970, they offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. That new location and the best time of the year coming up soon, the holiday season. Supporter of the hometown teams like the Tigers with all their sponsorship for them and the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. And now that we're back at FedEx Forum, we can enjoy the FedEx Forum, Sissy's Log Cabin, floor seat lounge. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Let's get to another break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness. Exercise your right to look good.
It's October at Sunrise Chevrolet here at GMC of Culver. Get a most super and ultimate with 824 Chevy Silverado 1500 LT or a 24 GMC Sierra $1,500. Sunrise Chevrolet here at GMC of Culver. We know it's fun to buy a car.
Price plus tax, title, and license. Price includes $899.50 process.
Silverado R124 8261 MSRP 60,600. Dealer incentive 5151. Customer cash 3,000. Bonus cash 1750. Sierra RZ 321564 MSRP 87,500. Dealer incentive 7,000. Purchase allowance 2750. Expires 10/31/24.
Now, back to Sportstime on Sports 46 and 95.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I have two big numbers for today, one from the NFL and one from college football. I'll start with college football. My first big number, 1960. That is a year. It is the last time Army and Navy were both ranked in the top 25 before yesterday when the AP poll came out. Huge that both of those programs are in the top 25. Really cool to see, and we'll see how long they can remain in there.
Navy won the Heisman Trophy that year with Joe Bellino.
Is that right? Wow. Okay. So I don't think either are going to have a Heisman Trophy.
Both of those quarterbacks stack up pretty nicely, though.
They sure do. They're both really, really good, especially Army's. He is incredible. My second big number comes from the NFL, and it does have to do with a quarterback. 22. That is the age of Caleb Williams, and at 22 years.
Speaking of Heismans.
Yeah, really. And speaking of good quarterbacks, at 22 years and 330 days old, Caleb Williams became the second youngest player in Chicago Bears team history to throw for 4 or more touchdowns in a game, including postseason. The last time it happened was in 1937.
My goodness.
How about that?
Bears have had a long drought at quarterback. But
they sure have. 1937. Whoa. That's when the youngest happened. He's now second youngest.
And best division in football? In NFL?
Right now it is. So. Right now it is.
I think so. My big number is 10.
Okay.
College football's current longest winning streak is 10, held by Navy's biggest opponent, the Army.
Wow. I don't think
10 in a row for the Army.
How about that? Good for them.
And their quarterback, Bryson Daly, is having a big year.
Really good player. Brad, I said it earlier. Army is my favorite team to bet on this year. I mean, they are cash money.
Mine's James Madison.
Well,
you can't tell.
Y'all both had straight cash on those. There were times in the 70s when Army and Navy would play that you couldn't tell which team was which. The uniforms were almost identical,
awesome.
Home and road.
That's awesome. I love that.
I mean, Army had an ever so discreet stripe down the helmet, and that was about the only way. And boy, it was hard watching them because you didn't know who was who.
Sure, yeah, you're just trying to wait till the scoreboard changes or something.
I talked about Bruce Marshall on Friday. We tell it all here on Friday. We're going to tell everybody. Doug Kazarian on Thursday went 3-2. He had college only. Yeah. So Doug, for the year in college football picks, with us, he's 12-6. He had no NFL picks, so he stayed at 8-4. That's 20-10. That's 666 winning percentage. I think you can live with that. Friday with us, Alan Bell in college, 0-4, but 3-1 in the NFL for the year in college. He's 14-16. In the NFL, he's 19-14, so 33-30. That's 523. I talked about Bruce for the year. He's 34-22 in college, 4-4 in the NFL. He only had one NFL pick and lost it. So 38-26. That's 593.
I'll take it every single day. That's good picking.
I think you take all three of those percentages.
100%.
And if people hadn't discovered by now, on Friday with Allen, we're a little more NFL with him and a little more college with Bruce until we just get down to the NFL playoffs.
That's right, absolutely. But Yeah, we got the pickers, that's for sure.
But we keep all this.
That's right, yeah.
And we tell it however it falls out.
We got the records. We absolutely
Good
do.
or bad.
Good or bad. And usually it's
like Darian, 5-1 in the NFL this week.
No, 5-0 NFL.
5-0, excuse me, 5-0. That's right.
I think everyone has had their opportunity of 5-0. I think I'm the only one that has not. Because Connor's been 5-0, haven't you? I think we found out last week someone else was 5-0 if we didn't know. So
we got somebody
we did.
So that was my first one.
5-0 NFL, 3-3 college, to take him to 53-22 on the year against the spread.
Whoa.
We'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take it.
Unbelievable great picking.
That's incredible. That is really, really good stuff.
That is on the record, people.
Yes, it is.
That's right. Yeah, we got it. We got it written down.
You paying for the Christmas party.
Yes, you are.
I kid.
I am watching the NLCS in here, and they just showed on camera there was a little snake that was in the dugout, and they had to go and grab it.
Leave the state now.
And take it away. You know, little snake.
It's like the place in Florida that had the alligator in the house after the hurricane.
Yeah, how about that? You open up your door and
leave the time zone.
Big old gator.
I never return.
Oh man, I don't even.
I'm moving to the mountain time zone if an alligator's in my house.
Even this, I mean, it was very, very small snake. But even looking at
there's only two sizes: the real big ones and the real little ones.
That's true. That is very true. I think I'd still freak out if it was that little one.
I don't want any kind of snake
I hate
around.
snakes.
I'm with you.
I mean,
I'm with you.
I don't care what type of snake it is.
They turned me into Usain Bolt because I'm gone.
Yeah,
I see them and I'm gone.
People tell me, no, those are the good snakes. You want them?
If I can get my shoes off, I'm out of there.
Promise you, I don't want that snake around. Might be good.
But going to Florida will I guess bring out your fear of amphibians because you see snakes, you see lizards. I mean, I had to get used to it. Walking out and you see lizards everywhere. Dude, no, I'm scared. No, I'm like you say, both with that. No.
I mean, that beach better be really nice for me to deal with all that.
Better be real nice. That's for sure.
But wintertime, I guess you got to have a sack wintertime, and I'm not cold.
That's true. There's pros and cons, I guess, to everything. Even being
didn't see a lick of snow. I don't think I saw under 40.
I don't ever want to see another flake in my life. If I see one more, we're reporting live from bridges and overpasses. I never want to see it again in my life, Darren.
Stay away from those bridges and overpasses. The Dodgers did tack on a run. They had a home run in their last at-bat. So now 6-1 Mets in that game. All Mets right now, and it looks like they'll even out that series 1-1. But let's go ahead and wrap up this second hour and get to another break. And when we come back, we're talking a whole lot of Tiger football with Jonah Dillon.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa setting. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure. Wit and Run at I-40. Family and fun come together.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Need good food fast? You need 901 Eats to Go in Bartlett. Meat in two sides. Chicken wings and tenders, cheeseburgers, Philly cheesesteak, even catfish, plus sides and drinks. 901 Eats to Go has everything you want when you want it at prices you can afford. Call 901-417-8232. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. That's Eats with a Z. Delicious and convenient. 901 Eats to Go. 3135 Kirby Wooden Road in Bartlett. Good food fast.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's just that time of day for it to get busy through Midtown, and it is over here, especially southbound 240 at South Parkway down to Norris. As you continue south of Memphis, that's been in pretty good shape so far on 55 down through to Soto County. It got a little bit heavy earlier as we check the traffic there at times on 40 East as you come past Warford, headed on over towards Hollywood, all the way to White Station. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again, our Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios. We start our third and final hour, and joining us now on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, Jonah Dillon, the Tiger football beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He joins us now. Jonah, thanks so much for joining us. Last week when we talked to you, we really didn't know what would happen with the game against USF, and after that it got moved to Saturday, then it got moved from Tampa to Orlando. What did you make of just everything surrounding Saturday's game throughout the week?
Yeah, well, basically, like you said, last week, pretty much the whole conversation the entire week up until the game was about where the game was going to happen, was it going to happen, very little about the actual, how these teams are going to match up, the importance of the game, things like that, to the point where it felt like, I know that we had mentioned it, Byron Brown not playing was a huge story, and normally, obviously, the uncertainty with his status throughout the week, I think, would have been a huge talking point because it was obviously a huge factor in the game. But because of all the stuff that was going on, understandably so, obviously, that all that stuff with the Hurricane much bigger than football, and it makes sense that that's what we were talking about. And then it kind of, I feel like, kind of snuck up on us. Right now, suddenly there's a football game. We got to think about how these teams are going to match up, even though we spent the whole week before that thinking about things that had nothing to do with football.
Never easy for Ryan Silverfield, is it? You're already hearing some almost in last year mode, Jonah, of grousing about winning an 18-point road game.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting now as we kind of take a second at the halfway point of the season, right after 6 games, and the first couple of games it felt like, okay, this defense is much improved. And then after a couple more games, it was like, actually, this defense is the identity of the team. We expect big things from Seth Hennigan in the passing game, so we'll still remember that Memphis is a team that's known for offense. They were one of the best offenses in the country last year, brought a lot of the guys back from last year's team. And for me now, after this game, and especially how the defense looked, again, with the caveat that USF, look, their best player is their quarterback, and he didn't play. It's very hard to have one good quarterback as a group of 5 team. It's impossible to have 2. So this was not the team that we were expecting. But look, at this point, halfway through the season, I think we have to reorganize ourselves and think about this team completely differently than we did in the past, because this is a team that's identity is built around its defense. And it would have been crazy, if you'd played a clip of me saying that in the preseason, I would have thought something's gone seriously wrong or it's just made up. But the reality is right now, that's what this team is, a defensive team. That's their identity, and that's where they're going to have success at the rest of this season.
And one thing that I think you can't not say is this defense is great. I mean, his defense for every game except for the Navy game has been really, really good, and it was really, really good against South Florida, holding them to only 3 points. USF finished with like 24 rushing yards. Their backup quarterback really never got into a rhythm. This defense has been the strong part of this team this year.
Yeah, it's been totally dominant. And again, it's such a switch from last year. The defense not only was not the strong part of the team, but it was a liability. Ryan Silverfield said earlier today, our defense, he said last year our defense is one of the worst in the country, and he's obviously right. And look, they brought in a lot of new players, obviously a new coordinator, Jordan Hankins. This defense is doing a lot of things. And one of the things that's interesting when you look at it is there's a lot of different caveats to what exactly is going on defensively, both in things that are obvious and then, when you get into real X's and O's football stuff. But this defense is built to confuse opposing offenses. And so you watch these games, and a lot of them, including on Saturday, it kind of looks like, well, this offense is terrible. They don't have any, they're not trying to do anything. They don't have any good players. And even refocusing to kind of think about, well, actually part of that, look, again, part of that is they haven't faced the best team. But part of that is this defense is built to make offenses look bad, like in ways that you wouldn't even expect normally. Oh, this guy made a great play. He came out of nowhere to make a tackle. No, this is like, it's supposed to look like the offense doesn't know what they're doing or they look lost. And as the game went on, it just looked like they had no answers, right? And that's something we've seen, again, besides the Navy game, like you said, we've seen that from almost every team Memphis has played this year. And this defense is just dominant right now. They really are. And it's going to be interesting to see how if they can continue that through the next half of the season.
Jonah Dillon with us from The Commercial Appeal, where he is on the beat covering all things Memphis Tigers and does just about everything for the local paper that one can do, and we appreciate having him every week with us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. There was a time, Jonah, this Saturday would be much anticipated for this reason. Sitting at 5-1 with a win would be bowl eligible. We know the goals have changed, and they're much higher, and that's credit to a lot of great work by Justin Fuente and Mike Norvell and Ryan Silverfield and a lot of fans and the support that they've given. Right now, where do you think the rest of this Tiger football season goes?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you expect bowl eligibility, but I think, which is, like you said, go back 15 years and say that's a given. We got to remember that, right? Like that was not a given for a long time. And the fact that we don't even think about that as a goal is interesting with where this program is. Look, it's still everything is in front of them, right? We've talked about it. They don't have control of their own destiny. You're going to need some help. You're going to need some help specifically with Army and Navy. You're going to need them to lose games. If Memphis wins out, you're going to have a good shot, I think, based on what we're going to see in the conference in the next 6 games. to me, I think that this team, I think it's pretty clear they have to win out. I don't think 10-2, because 2 losses in the conference, I don't think that's going to be good enough to make the conference title game. If you don't make the conference title game, you're not going to the playoffs. If you don't do either of those things, you didn't accomplish your goals, right? So it's very clear, and we talked about it throughout the whole offseason, and the goal is to make the AAC champion, to win the AAC championship, and obviously see where the chips fall with respect to the playoff at that point. If you lose another game, that's off the table. And so we are in a situation now, halfway through the season, and it was kind of similar last season after the loss to Tulane, even though there was only one conference loss, and obviously they had a loss to Missouri, but it wasn't hurting them because it was non-conference. They have to win the rest of their games, and that means that you can't afford to slip up the way that it looked like, last year. Obviously, North Texas, that game is one of the ones that we think back to as they were teetering on the edge of disaster for quite a while in that second half. And we're in a situation now where this Memphis team cannot afford to have a game like that if they don't end up winning it. If you lose one more game, that's pretty much going to be it.
Well, you look at this game on Saturday against USF, and the big story from the game was Mario Anderson being ejected for spitting on a defensive lineman for USF. We talked about it earlier. What Ryan Silverfield said earlier today in the press conference with you and the rest of the media, I thought was great. He called it despicable. He said that's not the program that they are, and kind of apologized for the program. What was your reaction to his ejection, and then what Ryan Silverfield had to say today about it?
Yeah, I think when you watch the replay, it was obvious before they even made the call that he was going to get ejected, right, for doing that. And it was crazy because then I think that happened in the Ohio State-Oregon game too, right? Somebody got ejected for spitting. So I guess that's just going around on Saturday in college football. Look, it was interesting also because you heard Ryan Silverfield both after the game on Saturday and again today mentioning in his answers about that, if you notice that South Florida was one of the most penalized teams in the country, which I took to mean, okay, yeah, they were doing some stuff too, which even on that play, it was clear when you watched the replays, it wasn't like he was totally unprovoked, right? So, and as we know in football with these penalties, a lot of times it's the person who does something second that gets the worst penalty. Now, obviously, you do that, you spit on a player, they're going to eject you. It's hard to defend that. And I think that obviously after him having a chance to go back and watch it and see the whole play, he understands, okay, maybe there were some things going on, but you can't do that, right? And so I think it was addressed. Look, he's going to play on Saturday. He's not going to be suspended. And obviously they're going to hope that something like that doesn't happen again. I think it's probably a wake-up call both for Mario Anderson and for the whole team. And I think seeing what the consequences are, and especially for the running back room, which is severely depleted. And that was a pretty big, of all the positions to lose somebody where they have no depth at this point with 2 players already out injured, running back was one of those positions. And so they can't afford to lose a running back for any reason, let alone for something like that, which was obviously preventable. And I think they understood that. And I think I would be, like Ryan Silverfield said today, I'd be surprised to see something like that happen again.
The story right now in the AAC is obviously Army and Navy, but Memphis still has a lot to say about it, and Tulane will have a lot to say about it. Tulane plays Navy. They do not play Army, and, of course, Tulane plays Memphis on Thanksgiving night. The very top of this league is pretty good, isn't it, Jonah?
Yes, except it's not exactly what we thought it was going to be, right? We thought UTSA and South Florida were going to be those other 2 teams with Memphis and Tulane. And, look, I think Tulane I think they flew under the radar the entire year. I mean, basically, like, the teams that people were high on in the offseason, besides Memphis, were South Florida and UTSA. People forget South Florida. They were getting praised as this is a playoff team. Byron Brown is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And obviously, they've even before the game against Memphis, had lost some games, and they looked really bad against Tulane. I think Tulane, look, they went and competed, and they were close against 2 power conference teams. And Darian Mentz has been a revelation, really, at quarterback. We didn't think he was going to be their quarterback, and he's been really good so far. And, again, now everybody's talking about Army and Navy, right? So Tulane's just there. They're undefeated in the conference. I think you'd be more than in your right to say that you could pick them as the favorites at this point, even with what Army and Navy did, because I think if Tulane went to go play Army right now, I would probably favor Tulane. And you've got to think about that. Obviously, they're going to have that game against Memphis at the end of the season, and that's going to be a big game, assuming both teams continue to win up to that point. But I think those 4 teams are really good. Obviously, we saw what Navy did. Both Army and Navy are going to go play Notre Dame, and that's going to give us a good sense of how they match up against that level of competition. And again, we saw what Tulane did against power conference opposition. And I think those 4 teams, you can be pretty confident. Those are 4 good football teams.
Yeah. Looking forward to this weekend, Memphis back at home against North Texas. What do you make of this North Texas team? They a one-loss team. It was on the road against Texas Tech, but you look at the rest of their schedule, and it has not been a lot of tough competition. What do you expect to see from them on Saturday?
Yeah, really good offense, really bad defense.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen, which is actually going to be good for Memphis because this is going to be a good matchup when you look at North Texas' offense against Memphis' defense. I think, given what we saw from South Florida last weekend without Byron Brown, it feels like this is probably the best offense that they'll see, at least in terms of what they've been able to do so far, besides Navy. And Chandler Morris is playing really well for them at quarterback. And so that is going to be a good test, and that is the matchup that I'm interested to see. On the other side, if Memphis, look, we talked about the Memphis offense struggling. They struggled on Saturday. They put up 14 points, and then obviously the defense scores a touchdown. If Memphis' offense is struggling against this North Texas defense, then it may be time to sound the alarms, right? Because they've been able to win most of these games without needing great stuff from their offense. Mm-hmm. And you should win however you can win, so there's nothing wrong with that. If Memphis can't move the ball offensively against this team, I think then we have to have a different conversation about, okay, something is really wrong here. And then on the other side, if they can shut down North Texas' offense and hold it to 3 points or 0 points or something like that, then it's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. You can play defense like that. Maybe you don't need your offense to do that much, which is what they've done so far this season. But I think there's going to be some interesting storylines coming out of this game on both sides of the ball.
That is a very fair assessment. And next week, Jonah, if it plays out to where we have to ask this, we may very well. But right now, I wouldn't panic. I'm getting some of this in the Ole Miss world of what's wrong with Jackson Dart, and getting a lot from the Tiger fans. What's wrong with Seth Hennigan? I'm going to give it through Saturday, and next Monday we may be asking the question of what's wrong with Seth Hennigan.
Yeah, I think it's clear. Look, we've got 6 games of data now, so we're halfway through the season. You can look at his stats. You can look at what's happened this season compared to the other seasons. And again, just the eye test, especially on Saturday, they looked amazing in the first quarter, and then after that, they didn't do anything offensively, right, the entire game, and it was a hard watch at some point. But with this Saturday, with the matchup, we've seen what these other offenses that we know are not great offenses, frankly, in the conference. We've seen them put up points on North Texas, right? So, look, teams are improving. You can't use that argument like, oh, well, this team put up this many points, so they're better than this team. But if Memphis can't put up points on this defense, I think there's reason to be concerned because at that point, look, we're more than halfway through the season. We can't just expect that things are going to turn around. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with the defense. We should expect that this defense is really good. We shouldn't think that it was a fluke because they've shut out a couple teams or they've played well in a couple games. Like, this defense is really good. They've shown it for consistently. And I think that we're going to learn a lot from this game on Saturday, even though, I know people are on North Texas. They don't think it's a big-time opponent. They're new to the conference in the last couple of years. But relative to the teams that this conference is producing right now, outside of the top teams in the conference, North Texas is up there. They're probably going to go to a bowl game. They've got a really exciting offense. They've got a good young head coach and a good quarterback. And I think it's going to be a competitive game.
Yeah. I didn't see an update. Was there an update today on Greg Duosi and his injury?
Yeah, Ryan Schofield said he's not expecting him to play this weekend. He's kind of still working his way back. He's obviously been out since the Florida State game with the collarbone injury. He would help. Like, I think part of the conversation, and this, if we're talking about this again next week, this will be probably even more of it. Mm-hmm. Part of the conversation about the offense is, okay, well, they lost Sutton Smith in the first quarter of the first game. If you're going to sit here and talk about the offense isn't explosive enough, losing their most explosive player probably hurts them, right? And that's fair. And then Greg Duosi comes in as sort of like a Sutton Smith replacement in a sense of, okay, he's going to play in some of those positions and do some of those things. I don't think he's the player that Sutton Smith is, but he's certainly a dynamic player, and there's nobody else right now on this team who does the things that Greg Duosi does, especially with Sutton Smith out. And so losing him, it's very hard. I mean, they've got 2 running backs, Mario Anderson and Brandon Thomas, who are good and dependable, but they kind of do the same thing. And they don't have that person who's a serious threat out of the backfield or who can line up in the slot and move around. They've tried Jacoby Banks in that sense a little bit, and he's played a little bit more over the past couple weeks. But I think if Greg Duosi and Ryan Schofield said he's expecting him to come back, so hopefully that will happen in the next couple weeks, I think that will unlock some things for this offense.
Can you believe the season's half over?
Barely. That's why I'm saying I look at the end of this game and I'm thinking like, okay, well now the season, because I keep thinking, okay, well this is going to happen soon. This offense, Seth Hennigan's going to throw 400 yards. Rock Taylor's going to have 3 touchdown catches, right? And then suddenly we're looking at the stats and I'm like, well, the record's 5-1. That means they're halfway through the season. So now we have to reorient. That's the past couple of days for me has been like reorienting myself to like, this is the team. We've watched half the season. We can't just pretend that go back to last year. Even with North Texas, I'm thinking like, man, that game last year was crazy when they played in Denton, right? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they're going to go back and watch the film from that game. Like, no, they have 6 games of film to watch from this year. They don't need to go back to last season. And it's crazy, but it still feels like there's so much in front of this team and there's so much in front of this race for the AFC title and for the playoffs. It feels like we still haven't gotten going, right? Because there's so many teams that are still involved. And it feels like at this point there should be less. So I think that's going to make it exciting going down the stretch.
Jonah, I so agree. You got 6 left, 4 at home, everything in the preseason, except for one knucklehead saying undefeated, still remains. That was me. I know the Navy loss. It took some steam out of a lot of people, but four games at home, it's almost like the Tiger football season is being forgotten.
Yeah, I think that loss really hurt because look at right now, Boise State is ranked number 15 in the country, right? They're getting a lot of credit. Now, part of that, let's be honest, perception, Ashton Jenney is the Heisman frontrunner right now. And so they know Boise State, they know about Boise State, they know who he is because they're watching his highlights, they're seeing all that stuff. And the reality is that impacts voting, and people who are voting in the AP poll, they're going to be like, oh, Boise State, yeah, they're pretty cool. Ashton Jenney's pretty good. But if Memphis was undefeated, I think they could be ranked as high as Boise State is, maybe even higher, right? To be an undefeated team, have that win over Florida State, win over Navy, which I think if they had beat them would have been impressive because Navy would still have a good record. And I think that really hurts because if you're going in there as a ranked team consistently every week and you're beating these teams and you're doing it in an exciting fashion, then I think people are going to get invested. And look, the other part of it is this is a team, and we've talked about it the entire time. They've been known for offense over the past couple of years. They've been known for exciting games. We're talking about last year, South Florida 59-50, North Texas 45-42. When you win in different ways and you win 21-3, and people watch that game, they're not watching the game thinking, "Wow, this is exciting," right? Again, if you're a coach, you just got to win the game. If you're a player, you just got to win the game. And so it's nothing against them, but there is some part of it. And we talk about people's interest in the team and the perception of the team. If they watched the whole football game and they came away from it being like, man, I didn't have a great time watching that game. It wasn't that exciting. It's hard to drive interest, even if you're winning. And that's just the reality of where we are with a lot of college football programs. It's not always just about winning. It's about the product and the things that you're doing and how people feel when they watch a game. And so sometimes part of it, people are watching the games and it's not making them want to go back. And I think that's also one of the reasons why it doesn't feel like this team has gotten that much interest as we expected as they were getting in the preseason.
And Jonah, it serves as a very useful reminder for all of us how narrow, how very small the margin for victory can be. One mistake, how it can cost you. And just think about this. I know the whole shoulda, woulda, coulda game, and I'm not much on that, but you change out of that Navy game, you change this. Memphis gets that onside kick. They're driving down. Seth Hennigan pulls it out again at the buzzer. We would still be on this rocket ship because you look at that margin against Navy, and we have a texter that constantly reminds us that last 7 was tacked on defense. We know that, but it counts. But you change that to Memphis wins in that thrilling fashion, and they are right there where Boise, where they are.
Yep, and even more so than that, if Seth Hennigan had done that, had come down the field at the end of the game, scored a touchdown pass, kind of heroically pulling his team back when the defense wasn't playing well, we're not going to sit here and talk about, man, what's wrong with the Memphis offense, right? Because we would have just said we saw it. And that's what's so amazing, though, about football and about sports and college football, those are the margins, right? And especially, I was thinking about this over the weekend, like people talk about, oh, well, with the expanded playoff, these games aren't as important, right? Because these SEC teams, they
more
lose
important.
And it still doesn't matter. But if you're Memphis, right? These games, you're trying to get one spot from the group of 5. Boise State has 1 loss. UNLV has 1 loss. We'll see what happens with these other teams. The margins are still razor thin, and Memphis can't lose 2 games. Like, we're just looking at it now. It can't happen. And so it's at a situation where these games they're even more important, like you said, than they used to be because the stakes are so much higher. and the room for error is not there anymore. And so if you're Memphis, like those moments, that play, we could look back on that play at the end of the season and say, man, if that throw had been in the ground or if he looked in the other direction on that play, we'd be talking about something else. We'd be, planning a trip to Columbus or wherever for the first round of the playoff. But again, like, that's just what makes college football so great, right? That's how important those moments are. What if Will Howard slid a second earlier on Saturday in that game, right? What are we talking about then? And I think that's just why it's so great.
Yeah.
You have any duties tomorrow night for the North Carolina exhibition game? Are you writing anything?
I'll be there. I'm going to do I'll be covering the women's game because the men's game will end, and then Jason Munz, obviously my colleague, will be writing off of that game, and so I'll be covering Memphis against South Carolina, which we get to see the national champs play in FedEx Forum. That's going to be pretty cool.
That's right. It's going to be very, very cool. Jonah, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Jonah. Jonah Dillon joining us to talk some Tiger football, and he'll be there tomorrow for that doubleheader. It starts at 6 o'clock, Memphis versus number 9, North Carolina on the men's side. Right after that, Memphis versus number 1, South Carolina on the women's side. Should be a great night of exhibition basketball. But before we get to our break, let me remind you, maybe you're in the market as we get closer to the end of the year for that new vehicle. We'll go over and check out the selection at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635 horsepower. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Also, don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call at 877-259-6169. That's 877-259-6169, or go online to jaguarbluffcity.com to find that next perfect vehicle. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, it's Monday night. We got to talk about this Monday night football matchup between the Bills and the Jets. We'll make our picks and preview also our big 4 players, any player, any position combined for the Bills and the Jets. We'll do all of that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It doesn't matter what time of year it is, it's always the right time to visit Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. Bell Tavern is right off Deacon Alley, right at the very center of downtown, but Bell Tavern doesn't have the hurried atmosphere of a lot of places downtown. Bell Tavern is laid back, comfortable, and has hands down the coldest beer and best cocktails anywhere, not just downtown. We say it all the time, you could go to a chain bar if that's what you like, but once you visit Bell Tavern, you'll never go to a chain bar again.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farm All, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farm All that's right for you.
Hulu is coming in hot this month with new shows, new movies, and all new seasons of your faves. This FX's Clip, the story of one NBA team's racial reckoning starring Lawrence Fishburne. Stream a new season of Short, the underdog hockey team that might just knock your teeth out.
month with so much new stuff to watch on Hulu. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I'm looking at a crash over here on 385 Bill Morris Parkway coming inbound. This is normally where they crash during the morning rush hour as you get on that ramp to 240. That's why it's really slow now on Bill Morris Parkway 385 between Ridgeway and 240. Again, slow coming inbound on 385 as we stare at this crash on that flyover, actually on that bridge there as you get on to 240. Now it's heavy going the other direction on Bill Morris Parkway going outbound as you head out towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard. ABC's Monday Night Football.
All right, Brett, Monday night. Here we are. Jets and Bills tonight.
How about Sunday night football in the Big Apple? Monday night football in the Big Apple. The ALCS in the Big Apple. NLCS on the way to the Big Apple later in the week.
Jeez. It's a good time to be in the Big Apple, I guess.
Wouldn't it be?
Man, it's good stuff. I didn't even think about all that, but you're absolutely right.
If you won the Powerball, and you could take the beaming machine anywhere you wanted to go, you had it at your beck and call.
Okay.
Would you plop down and just take in a year in LA sports or a year in New York City sports?
Oh, jeez.
You got tickets. You sit by Mary Hart at baseball at Dodgers games.
I'm gonna
Y'all
go.
don't know who Mary Hart is.
Absolutely. Entertainment Tonight. Come on, good sir. Come on, good sir.
At least one out of two. I'd go New York.
I'm straight West Coast now.
Yeah,
I'm straight warm weather too.
Well, that's true. I didn't put the weather into a factor. I'm
And-
just
and of
thinking
course
like
with the beaming
crazy
machine-
Knicks fans. I'd love to be around them.
You're not in traffic. You're not on the subway in New York. You're not stuck on
There you go.
in traffic in LA. You're not stuck in anywhere. Darren, I asked Bryant this the other day. I'm going to ask you. How many checks do you write now? Real checks. Pay to the order of.
I actually did one last week for my daughter's pictures because I did not want to write my debit card number down on like the proof deal.
That's probably smart.
Same.
But that's the only
me.
one. But that's the only one I've done.
Darren, I don't think I've ever written a check in my life.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
I don't know where they are.
Money order, COD, money order.
Never.
This is my biggest old man fear, and y'all both know how technologically challenged I am. If I tried to, which they wouldn't be getting much, but if I tried to unravel ID theft, I think it would be the end of me.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
So I'm scared. I'm scared to death of that, and just swiping
Sure.
that card.
Oh, yeah.
So could y'all set me up on the Venmo easily?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I use Venmo every day.
How long would it take for you to set me up on Venmo and Apple Pay?
Oh, I'm not as versed on
Oh,
Apple
yeah.
Pay.
So that's where I would have you. You got them on the Venmo. I got you on the
Yeah, I
Apple
do
Pay.
Venmo and Cash App.
Yeah.
I don't really mess
All
with
right,
that.
for this reason, I love, where was it? It was Friday night in Baton Rouge. Dinner tab came around, and the person that took care of it just put his phone up on the little
just
reader.
Your phone and, see, I think the thing is, I can't get my card on there. Like, it tells me I have to call the bank, so I'm not calling the bank.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, so I just don't have a
Coolest deal in the world, right? Right, Stats. When he came in, just put the phone right over there and just let the Apple
Really
Pay
was.
knock for it.
Yeah.
I thought very cool.
We're
I
in the
think very
future.
cool this matchup tonight. I think it's not must win for Aaron Rodgers, but there's a lot of noise if they don't.
Yeah, no, and there's already a lot of noise around the Jets with the firing of Saleh, and so we'll see how do they bounce back. I saw right when we started the show, ESPN Bet was on this television in here, and they had a great nugget. Since 2020, teams in their first game after a mid-season change are 9-2 against the spread.
Who tracks that?
Hard to believe there's been 11 mid-season changes since 2020, but hey, I guess there are, and I guess they tracked it. 9-2 against the spread.
Yeah, tonight Bill's trying to avoid first 3-game skid with their great quarterback as the starter. The interim game one, he's trying to win for the Jets. I think clearly Buffalo's going to be around conference semifinals at worst.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
With that quarterback, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that about the Jets. I don't.
Unfortunately, I don't either. I like a lot of the pieces with this Jets team, but yeah, just something about them. They haven't been able to come together.
69-58 all-time Bills, Western New York.
Wow.
Over New York City's team. We talked about the great weekend Darian had in the NFL, so he gets to pick first.
All right.
All right. So my Big Four, Brett. I added a word to the Big Four. I did Big Four personalities, if you'll allow it. Are you allowing that, Brett?
Sure, I am.
Okay. Well, great. All right,
you
then.
You don't even have to ask me.
All right, then.
Y'all know I'm not like that.
The Big Four. I added the word personality. So here we go. All right. I will go number 4, Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Big personality.
Then we will go back to the Jets. Number 3, Keyshawn Johnson.
Okay.
Number 3.
that.
Big personality.
That is
Number
big
2, Orenthal James Simpson for the Buffalo Bills. And
Are we doing platform diving and throwing out the high and the low with those guys?
basically.
Yeah, I think so.
And my final
we really
big
should not
big
chuckle.
personality. It was down to 2, but I'm going to go with Timothy Tebow for the Jets.
Right.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Wow. What a list.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that moment of Tebow jogging shirtless in the rain as a Jet. It stays with you, don't
Sure
it? Doesn't
does.
it? Oh, man.
Comes up.
There are a lot of your Big Four personalities are things that stay with you.
Well,
like that crime scene on Rockingham.
Well, yes, that is.
Or getting your popcorn or the pom poms or however. These guys were extremely memorable.
And Keyshawn, throw me the ball.
And Keyshawn, the only number 1 pick in Jets history. I found that out. Only number 1 overall pick.
Is that right?
In
Wow.
in the NFL draft, that's right. Joe Willie went. I don't even know if he went through a draft. They just kind of arranged for him to
Like an
go
arranged
to
marriage.
and he signed with Sonny Werblin on the field at the Orange Bowl after a heartbreaking Bama Orange Bowl loss to Texas. Signed on the field.
Holy cow.
There were 2 AFL players that did that. Lance Allworth signed on the field at the Cotton Bowl with Al Davis and the Los Angeles Chargers a year or 2, maybe 3 before Joe Namath did it with the Jets. So your pick tonight.
So that's where Dakota and Jerry Jones got that from, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Buffalo minus 1.5. Darren, your pick.
I'm going to go with the fighting Aaron Rodgers. I believe that not only do they have to win, I think they have to win his way. You won't see a lot of Breece Hall tonight. You may see him out the backfield, but I think Aaron wants to win in comeback fashion his way. Aaron Rodgers.
Passing attempts for him. How many? How many's he chunking?
35 at least.
Oh, I don't know if they can win with him just 35. It's got to be high.
Think it's higher than that?
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
All right,
taking
Connor
it over on completions. How about that?
How about that? Just threw that in for the people, didn't we? Connor takes the Jets as well. Connor had a good week in the pros, 3-2, and won his straight-up shock pick. So he came out of the weekend pretty good. I'm going to take Buffalo tonight and lay the 1.5 to win barely. Barely, 20-17, Buffalo over the Jets. Brian.
I'm also going to go with the Jets. I threw that number out there since 2020.
So I defied the group lock.
You sure did. And
good
mine
job.
Is strictly on this stat I saw. 9-2 against the spread in the first game after making a mid-season change since 2020. We'll ride with the trend, and we'll take the Jets.
I tell y'all all the time, any topic you want, any bit, take, segment, you can do it. Darren, I like that. So, Bryant, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Any Big Four you want.
I wish I had that prepared, but I unfortunately do not. I just have Big Four as in best four for myself. So
Each team, it can be all Jets, it can be all Bills, it can be a mix. Do you have the congressman from Western New York, Jack French Kemp?
Unfortunately, I do not have old Jack on my list, but I
mean, how cool would it have been in the 60s to have a monogram shirt on JFK?
Well,
for anybody.
That is true. I'm going to start at the top this time, Brett. As you know, I usually like to start at 4 and work my way up, but I'm going to start at number 1 because I am bucking a trend that I have gone with really ever since we've done lists. I'm going with Joe Namath, number 1 in my list for all-time players.
Wouldn't that fit personalities, too, with Darius?
It would.
Biggest
So
personality.
maybe adding on to him. And
I mean, when you lived at the Dakota and your neighbors was John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
You know, maybe this list could probably, now that I'm looking at the names,
and you had mirrors on the ceilings.
Personality.
Yeah.
As he told his mother, the interior decorator suggested it would make the room look bigger. The lighting, mother.
Yes, very
She
of course.
she said, Joseph, why the mirrors on the ceiling? The interior decorator
That's
suggested,
right.
Mom.
Yes, absolutely. Now that I'm looking at this list, I think it could be Big Four best players and maybe Big Four personalities.
Go for it.
So we've got Joe Namath, number 1, Aaron Rodgers, number 2. Brett, I know he hadn't done much as a Jet, but if he's on the list, I have to take him for what he's done in his career.
Mr. Ayahuasca himself.
That's right. Number 3, I have O.J. Simpson. You take away all the off-field stuff. Great player on the field. Now, we did take him down. He probably would have been number 2. Took him down to number 3 for obvious reasons. I have him number 3. Another one you also had for personalities. And then number 4, I have Darrelle Revis, a man that Darian had on his list last time, and I kicked myself for not having him, so I had to put him on this list. So what is that? 3 Jets and 1 Bill for me?
All right, here's mine, and I stuck to just on the field of play, just playing. No personalities. If they had none, this is what I went. Number 1, O.J. Simpson. That year to go over 2,000, we were watching it live on Channel 5, Darian, on a Sunday afternoon when he against the Jets. He did it at Shea Stadium to go over 2,000 in a 14-game season. Number 2 for me, I don't know how he gets forgotten as greatest defensive players ever, Bruce Smith.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills, Bruce Smith. Number 3, and here was my tiebreaker between 3 and 4. Number 3 made the Super Bowl, guaranteed victory, and backed it up. Joe Namath. Number 4, he never guaranteed anything, and that's a good thing because he was 0-4 on Super Bowl Sunday, but great the rest of the time. From Western PA, Jimmy Kelly.
That's a guy. I had him on my list and then took him off when I was going through. And
it was so fun in the years that his nephew, Chad Kelly, another nephew as well on the team that played tight end, when he was around Ole Miss. It was a lot of fun for Jim Kelly. And he had great friends going back to his playing days. His center on those Bills teams was the late Kent Hall that played at Mississippi State. And Kent was either from Greenwood or Greenville. I think Greenwood. And so he always had a real love for Mississippi, and coming back would always come back for Kent Hall's charity golf tournament, and a lot of money raised, a lot of fun had, met a lot of friends, and then he came in with the nephews playing, and he really enjoyed Oxford.
I'm sure he did. A lot to enjoy in Oxford. Good for him. I like those lists.
Colorful lists.
Yeah, I like Darian's list.
Very, very much so. Colorful lists.
Well, yes, colorful is a word for those
lists. And the coaches, what Marv Levy did, and it earned Pro Football Hall of Fame. Rex Ryan was a good coach. Weeb Eubank won a Super Bowl. Bill Parcells with the Jets. A few hours, Bill Belichick was with the Jets. He might be back again for a much longer stay.
Well, he definitely could.
Bill Belichick's going to have some good offers and options in the offseason, isn't he?
Sure is.
I don't know if you guys watch him on the CW. They are good. That's one of my favorite shows now.
Somebody else tell me that.
That is one of it. You get 100% Bill Belichick. Now, when they dumb it down and kind of go new age social media stuff, like they interviewed Shaq, Bill didn't want any part of it. He didn't want any part of it.
I knew he would be good.
He's good, Stats.
And he showed that there was a lot more personality there just on that game day hit at Army-Navy a few years ago when he put on the old-timey little Riddell helmet with the webbing headgear. I remember that one well. There's a lot more colorful in him than just, next question, and the hoodie.
Oh yeah, but hey, that's
he is super on there, guys. And when Saleh got fired, he kind of let the curtain back to say, hey, the Jets hired Saleh because he was a good coach, and trust me, he still is. So he put all of that back on the Jets. I mean,
how good is he with Peyton on their show?
He's very good. I love him on there. He's kind of the yin to their yang. All of them are uberly smart, so on and so forth. But he brings that Belichick-ism to the show when they're kind of still being goofballs or whatnot. He kind of reels them back in and kind of gets you back into coach speak.
And there's this, the hot young girlfriend.
Yeah. She likes hoodies.
I guess so.
Can it ever be too young? No, it's like too much money. With the log is over 18.
Sure.
It's like too much money.
That's right. No, you can never have too much money.
Hugh Hefner kind of set the pace for that. So
anybody can wear pajamas out in public.
Pajamas out in public.
That is true.
Hef was either work two looks: the white dinner jacket look, James Bond look, or pajamas.
That's a good point.
And maybe a third look that we didn't see.
On that note, let's get to our final
get us out,
break
Brian,
of
now.
the day. When we come back, we're wrapping up today's show with Crunch Time.
We are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Sports Rendezvous in the alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Club. Once
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, it was reported earlier this morning by ESPN's Shams Charania, which still sounds weird to say, as he is now the head NBA guy at ESPN. But he reported earlier this morning that Lonzo Ball, the guard for the Chicago Bulls, is expected to make his return to basketball Wednesday night in a preseason home game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Ball, who is now 26, last played in a game for Chicago on January 14th, 2022. He's missed 2 straight NBA seasons, and we're talking, what was it, last offseason, where he was saying he couldn't jump, he couldn't run. It was just looking really, really, really bad. And so now, I hope he does too. Now that we are back to the point, I did not think we were going to get to this point where he would be suiting up and playing in a game. But here we are, and I will definitely be tuned in Wednesday night to see him take the court again.
What I learned is earlier today, I asked y'all, and you hear people say, if I had a Heisman vote. Well, I do, and this would be mine right now. Number 1 would be running back at Boise State, Ashton Jeanty. But don't stumble a single game in production or one-loss record, especially playing against that dog excrement schedule they have the rest of the year. UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose State, Wyoming, Oregon State. Don't slip any, or I don't care what you've done against that schedule. Second right now, I would have Cam Ward at the U. And third right now, I would have America's team, quarterback Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia. Fourth, I might go Bryson Daly at Army. Look at his rushing and passing totals.
He is having a really, really strong year for Army. What I could have done without the news that Cam Rising, the quarterback for Utah, is expected to miss the rest of the season. For Utah guy, I mean, he's barely been able to play this season because of injuries. And now the reports going out there from a lot of people, even Kyle Whittingham being asked about it today during his press conference, about the idea of Cam Rising trying to get another medical red shirt for an 8th season of college football. I understand Cam Rising, big name, a guy that everyone has thought for the last year or two, when he's healthy, when he's out there, he can make you a great team. But at some point, it comes time where you have to think about, do I really want to be here anymore in the first place? And second, Brad, I thought you brought up a really good point earlier about your health. You've already dealt with all of these injuries that have kept you out of these games. You come back for another year. Who says you don't have another injury?
You don't need to be cut on again.
Yeah, or that grind of a season, that's not going to be good come 30, 40 years from now. So, if Cam Rising feels like he wants to come back, and he has that opportunity, go for it. But I think it might be the last we see of Cam Rising.
At some point, adults and administrators step up and say, no, you've played enough college football. You had your chance. I could have done without. I know the criticism's heavy on the Ole Miss offense, particularly the offensive line play, but some of the criticism could and should be on Coach Pete Golding's defense. They never, ever blitz. They always play base defense. He doesn't have the players at Ole Miss that he had at Alabama to play at that base, that one-on-one, and the defensive line just hadn't gotten after the quarterback enough.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right about that. Where are you beaming tonight?
New York City, Buffalo Bills and the Jets, and then stay for Cleveland Yankees tomorrow. I don't know if we could beam over tonight, but maybe so. Cleveland 2-4 all-time in the postseason against the Yankees. Cleveland's first postseason appearance came in 1920 when they won the World Series in a best-of-9. Won it 5-2 over the Brooklyn Robins.
Wow. The Brooklyn Robins.
It was a
How
lot
about
there.
that?
It was a lot there.
Okay. How about that? You know what? Let's see. Being me, I'll go up to New York as well. Guardians and Yankees tonight here in a little more than 40 minutes or so on TBS. Should be a good series. Guardians have been a great team all season. We know the firepower that the Yankees have, so really interested to see how this series plays out. Obviously, everything gets started tonight in New York, and right now the Yankees heavy favorites, minus 175 on the money line.
We'll watch that. Alex Cobb versus Carlos Rodon in the ALCS. Also keep an eye on the end of the Mets and the Dodgers. Have y'all ever seen anybody more dramatic than Freddie Freeman? I'll never forget that first-person account of him surviving COVID. It was like he was in an Ebola clinic, in Thailand or something. Goodness gracious, he's awfully dramatic. Watch the Bills and the Jets. Feels like the full come apart for the Jets could occur if they don't win tonight. The Aaron Rodgers experience about to fully unravel if they don't win. Josh Allen is so much better right now than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be a good matchup tonight for Monday Night Football. I mean, you've got the Jets who are searching for a win, searching for something good after having to fire their coach, and the Bills, they look like a team that can go deep in the playoffs. So I'm excited for this matchup tonight on Monday Night Football, but a lot of good stuff. Postseason baseball. You've got the NFL tonight. Grizzlies in a preseason matchup that starts here in a couple of minutes against Indiana. So a lot to keep an eye on tonight, but that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.